Welcome back to the Comics Aficionados right here on Think Critical YouTube. We are down a couple of members, but Jervain Dargan and Aaron Sparrow will be here eventually. But we do have some fantastic guests for you, making their first appearance on the Comics Aficionados. We got John from John's Lawn Box. How you doing, John?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me. It's a lot of fun. Thank you. I'm excited.
I hope you're ready to talk about some geek stuff.
Oh, that's all I do, much to the chagrin of my coworkers. I'm glad you guys are here to they avoid me now.
I think we'll take that bullet for you.
Yeah.
I normally take it out on my wife. That's why she's glad I got a YouTube channel and she didn't have to hear about all this stuff herself.
The other day I said to her, "Hey, you want to hear about my new idea about my comic book?" She goes, "God, no."
So you do have a comic book, Heroic Tales, funding right now on Fund My Comic?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I do. Yes.
Well, what should people know about it? Because I do have a link in the video description if people are interested.
Oh, thank you. My comic is I call it, it's a love letter to Bronze Age Marvel Comics. So it's a return to like good classic superheroes. It's all ages. It's, and not to be confused with children's books. It's all ages, like in the vein of Marvel Comics, Chris Claremont, John Byrne. So there's, adult content, but nothing you wouldn't see in an 80s comic. So it's sexy, violence, all that good stuff. But my main character is called the Patriarch, and the Patriarch. I created the Patriarch because I got real tired of turning on TV and seeing the father as the jerk or the butt of the jokes. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, and the wife has to fix it while the kids roll their eyes. So I said, I want to make positive masculinity. I want to make a character that embodies everything good about being a man. So the Patriarch is a loving father. He's a devoted husband. He's a beloved superhero. And his main problem is he wants to spend time with his family, but he's a superhero. Just imagine Superman wanted to play catch with his kids and also Brainiac attacks or something like that. So that's the big central conflict in his life. I made up a city and it's called Science City, Arizona, and it's supposed to be the ecological utopia, and of course that never works. So that there's problems in the city itself. The city itself is causing supervillainy, because I always think of how come Gotham City has the Joker and the Penguin and lizard people, but not Baltimore. You could move to Oakland and you're just gonna get regular violence. So there's something in the city itself that's causing supervillain problems, and the Patriarch is trying to figure that out. So I describe it as this conspiracy theories, superheroes, Dungeons and Dragons, and a little bit of H.P. Lovecraft mixed in there for good measure. And
very nice. Congratulations. Yeah. I know it's fully funded already. When if people back it today, when can they expect that comic book?
I put September to give myself a buffer, but we're more than halfway done. And Renzo just submitted another page today that, oh my God. So Renzo's the artist, for those of you who don't know. So I'm hoping to ship August, July. My last campaign was right on time. I shipped within a day or two of the last comic, the last deadline. Excuse me I'm being a little nervous here talking. And this one, I'm got all my ducks in a row. I got the Avengers assembled. This comic looks so good. It's the first one got pretty good reviews. This next one is just so much better. Oh, there's 2 complete stories in every comic. It's only $10, and it's a flip book. So there's 2 covers. I didn't want to do separate covers, and everybody's gonna collect all the covers. There's 1 comic book, 2 covers. So you flip it over, and there's another character called Mary Sue, and I people are like, what are you talking about? So I wanted to make a response to like a Ray Palpatine, from Ray Skywalker, whatever you want to call her. She has no story arc. She was perfect in the beginning, and she's she was the best pilot. So I was like, I want to make a female character that's perfect at the beginning, but I want to make her interesting. So Mary Sue, I'm just right on the nose. She's a Chinese. Her grandparents were Chinese immigrants. They fled Mao Zedong in the 50s. So she was a Roman Catholic, and the only choice was flee, convert, or be killed in communist China back then. Her parents fled, came to America penniless. 3 generations later, Mary Sue is born. She's cute. She's innocent. She's brilliant. She's rich. She's perfect. Now, where do you go when you're already perfect? Well, she accidentally gets godlike powers, and now she has to deal with the ramifications of that. So in the first issue, it's her origin, and she does something that I'm not going to spoil, that she doesn't realize that she does, and then the next couple of issues, she's dealing with the ramifications of at first glance, you're like, that was awesome what she just did. That was a great thing and you realize that when you're, it's the butterfly effect. If you do something over here, then something over here has to change, kind of thing. And she's super smart, but she's not omniscient. So she doesn't want to use her powers once she figures out that she has powers. So there you go. There's the two characters in this. And next issue, I'm going to debut different characters. So Heroic Tales, I kind of modeled it after Astro City, if you're familiar with that comic. So different characters. But my next campaign is Patriarch number 1, because people seem to like this character of a positive masculine figure. I can pontificate forever, so I'll stop now.
Though I definitely appreciate you showing up here, talk about a little bit of comic books with us. But we've also got Mr. Jeff Hicks from World Class Bullshitters. How you doing, Jeff?
I am doing well. Thanks for having me back. I love talking comics. It's always a good time here on the channel. And John, I gotta say, I checked out the link for Heroic Tales number 2. This looks awesome. You got it backer in me. I'm a creator myself. The art looks great. And you said Bronze Age Marvel. I love classic Marvel. So I'm excited, dude. I want to get the coin and everything. So
wow, thank you so much.
That was a great pitch. You sold me.
Oh, great. Like when I say Bronze Age Marvel, I mean every comic is a standalone comic.
Bingo.
But it builds on the next one. So if you didn't get issue number 1, but you could still get it, you're not going to be confused. You know, when you got your Fantastic Four comic, you read it, you enjoyed it, you loved it, you shared it with your friends, and you didn't know all of the subtleties, but you got it because Jim Shooter made sure that everybody was up to speed. That's what I'm trying to emulate. Like, people thinking I'm attacking crowdfunding, and I'm not, because crowdfunding is allowing me to make these comics that I want to make. But I don't want you to wait 9 months for part 2 to a story, and then 9 months for a part 3 to start. I don't think that's fair. So
I agree.
I want to give you a full, complete, satisfying story, but it builds on the next one. So if you're a repeat customer, you're gonna be rewarded with extra layers. Like, oh, that's why he said that in issue 1. That's why that happened. That's why that's in the background. But if you don't get it, you're not going to be like, this made no sense. So that's my goal. And you guys let me know if I'm succeeding.
It's bringing the fun back to comics. Because,
thank you.
You know, I'm a little younger than your average panelist here, so I grew up in the crappy 90s era with Image, and I hate those books. And the classic Marvel, like, I got Silver Age Spider-Man, this giant Taschen collection. I love those stories because it's this issue's the Vulture, this one's this, and they do have that feature. And I blame a guy like Brian Michael Bendis for ruining how comics are today, man. It's just a breadcrumb and a breadcrumb, and then before you know it, you're in an oven getting cooked like Hansel and Gretel, but it wasn't satisfying. You're disappointed. You leave burned. And that's how I feel about modern comics.
Well, you're saying all the right things. You know, I think we just became best friends. But
like I told you, man, I make my own comics. I have the same ethics. When I do a graphic novel, it's a one-shot. If I do sequels, which I'm working on, it builds on that. You know, I love those kind of stories.
Yeah. One of my buddies is going to a convention, and Brian Michael Bendis has got a table there, and he goes, "You want me to ask him anything for you? You want me to ask him to come on your channel?" I said, "Yeah, ask him to come on my channel. I got no problems. I'll talk to Brian. But ask him, do you enjoy ruining other people's joy? Just ask him that." Because to me, he's ground zero of everything that went wrong with the comics. And what pisses me off is Powers was excellent. His own material is excellent, and then I'm going to work with other people's stuff. Like, is it sabotage so that his stuff looks better? Like, I don't understand.
Checks all cash the same.
Yeah, I guess. I'm going to break your toys, Wes, but my toys, I'm gonna put them back in the box and keep them mint.
Well, speaking of toys, Jeff, you're a huge toy guy. You apparently just got some Indiana Jones stuff.
Yes.
Swag?
I picked up a Henry Jones Sr. because I was at Ollie's. I'm uploading that video now to everybody. And I was like, hey, that's the one figure I couldn't find at regular retail. So that, and what else have I added to this collection? Oh yeah, I'm going to break some people's hearts. I'm buying some Star Wars figures because they're releasing some stuff that's actually worth my money again. So, sorry, but Han Solo and Chewbacca have to come home.
Oh yeah, I saw those.
I buy every Han Solo and every Chewbacca.
My favorite Chewbacca toy is the Kenner what is it? Empire Strikes or Return of the Jedi, where he's got the backpack with pieces of C-3PO in it.
Oh yeah,
that you can put together.
That's a great toy. I have.
That's my favorite Star Wars toy ever.
Here.
So speaking of Star Wars, there's been a little bit of an uproar in the Star Wars fandom there, Jeff.
Yes, there has been. Unless you kind of live in it, like some of us do, and it's not necessarily by choice anymore, but for those who live in it, there's always some tumultuous thing going on. But now it's kind of it's crossed a line that I never expected to be crossed in Star Wars. And I can't say it's ruining it like the prequel or the sequels did, but I don't know. It makes me not want to be involved in those conversations, because Star Wars is Star Wars and it's meant to be fun and epic. And now it's about assaults and real life issues, and Tony Gilroy's saying dumb crap, which every celebrity, every actor, producer, writer, they say dumb crap when the press is involved, but we're all products of this stuff. Like, that was some of the dumbest, most faux intellectual garbage I've ever seen spat out. And that's saying a lot. So yeah, there's a lot going on with Star Wars right now. And the show's kind of boring.
So I liked Andor season 1, but it had a lot of the stuff that I really enjoy. It had a prison break. It had a big bank heist. It had a big uprising in the city. Like, all my buttons were pushed on that one. So I kind of liked it.
It is, if I'm ranking like these shows by seasons, it would be my second favorite Disney Star Wars show, because I like Mandalorian season 1 quite a bit. Not as much too with Luke Skywalker, but when it was like an adventure of the week, new planet, new monster, new whatever, with a little thread that goes between all of it, and you had a great supporting cast, I was ready to forgive a lot of shit. And then the show kind of fell off a lot. So, yeah. I don't think that Andor season 1 is necessarily bad, but when you're like riding the high of the first Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, like some of the coolest shit ever put to film, and then you follow it up with like long drawn out TV shows, I think Disney needs to understand that the format should be film and theatrical releases, and TV's for more mundane things. And don't populate Star Wars with mundane things. Populate it with epics. I'm very passionate, as you can tell.
I think the problem with Star Wars is, I'm probably going to get piled on. It's a limited premise. It's World War II in space. Once the war is over, you can't do World War II in space anymore. You know,
Agreed.
I don't want to hear about, because look at the new trilogy. They had to reset the all back again. Like, it doesn't matter. Ben Kenobi died for nothing, because now we have the Empire. Yeah, we call it the First Order, but it's the Empire. Oh, the rebellion is the underdog again. So all the sacrifices of the first movie really didn't happen. You could erase the entire original trilogy, the New Hope, the Empire, and just start with the new sequels, and it's exactly the same, because we have the same, they hit the reset button. And I was like, big deal. Like, it should have been like Alexander the Great. The rebellion takes over. It's now the Galactic New Republic. And what do we have? Regional governors taking over and vying over. And Leia's the head of the council going, I don't want to crush everybody, because then we're just as bad as everybody else. We need to persuade them. And now maybe the First Order captures some Empire equipment and makes a big threat. And you could have the battle again, but it would have been more, I don't know, I hate to say realistic, because it's Star Wars, but instead they just hit and then they blow up a Death Star again at the end. I mean, call it Star Killer Base, but it was the Death Star again. It was exactly the same movie that I saw again. And once I saw that, I said, Star Wars is done. This is literally, I mean, everybody, George Lucas, we echo the past. It rhymes. But that was just exactly the same movie.
Yeah, I created my first graphic novel because I saw Star Wars Episode 7 and I went, what is this? And I was literally for 6 months distraught. I didn't watch Star Wars. I didn't do anything. I mean, I parodied it myself, but it changed how I felt about movies, because everyone's like, it's so great, it's so awesome, it's so fun.
I thought everybody was joking with me. I'm like, you liked it? Like, is this a gag? Am I in the Black Mirror where everybody's in on a joke telling me that the new Star Wars was excellent and I was the only one who didn't get it? I was waiting for everybody to go, psych, it sucked. No.
It hasn't happened. But everyone's like, well, The Last Jedi is the bad one. No, they're all the bad one. Like, depending on what day
I didn't watch Mandalorian. I haven't watched Andor. I watched the first of the sequels and I said, I'm done. This doesn't offer anything for me. So there's 3 Star Wars movies. The number should be reached is 3.
So Hicks, are you going to get the Andor sexual assault playset?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I gotta have it for the collection. I already have like the Jabba the Hutt
Completionist.
touchy-feely playset, so we gotta get that for the collection. So yeah, I already got my pre-order open at Big Bad Toy Store. I'll even pay the tariff cost. This is like the collector's item this season.
Oh yeah.
So as a toy guy, are you noticing the tariff stuff? I guess people are starting to notice it.
Oh
Toys
yeah.
especially.
Oh, absolutely. I've been noticing it. I'm in a weird place as a collector, though, Wes, where I've kind of bought so many different things, and I've gone through stuff that I didn't even know I owned or opened yet. So I pay attention to everything that's new, and I do see the tariffs hitting, but I'm just going to wait all of this stuff out. One, I'll wait for it to hit Ollie's, and two, make something I want. You make stuff I want, Hasbro, clearly I'm going to buy it. But
yeah,
that's my issue.
Well, very nice. We've also got returning to the channel, Mr. Sparrow. What the hell happened, dude?
Hey, what's going on? Where's everybody?
We're waiting on Gervais, but we're all here. But before we get to Aaron, we do need to do this. We do have a special sponsor for today's live stream. Shout out to Drew and the team at TCM Press for sponsoring this week's Comics Aficionados coming this summer. Unholy Nightmare #2 is on its way, and trust me, this series is not pulling punches. The Recluse and Jenny are back, and this time they're on the run. Hunted by the Chicago PD and the RA drug cartel, all while chasing down a mysterious figure who may hold the key to why they're different. But will they survive long enough to get answers? And are they ready for what those answers might be? Brought to you by creators Dolan Waddick, A.K. Drew, and Aurelio Mazzara, and edited by our very own Aaron Sparrow. Unholy Nightmare #2 is action-packed, bloody, and full of dark, supernatural twists we love. Sign up now to get notified the second the Kickstarter goes live at kickstarter.com/projects/mutant-farm/unholy-nightmare-2. Don't sleep on this one. If you miss out, you'll be the only one not in on the nightmare. There you go, Sparrow. You got another book coming out with Drew.
Link in the description. Link in the description, I assume.
Absolutely, there's a link in the description.
Yeah, because ain't nobody typing all that out all of the
Hold on, try back again. I wrote it down.
Really?
Is it a .org again, right?
Definitely not .org.
No, yeah, I did edit this. This issue. If you got the first issue, I think this issue is takes everything that's good about the first issue and kicks it up, just to a whole nother level. And it's got my favorite cliffhanger, maybe of any book that I've ever edited. I told Drew the best compliment that I could give is that I wish that I'd thought of the idea that he has for the end of this book, because he beat me to something that's really, really cool. So I think people are really going to dig it. Yeah, the ending of Unholy Nightmare 2 is insane, and I can't wait for people to I can't wait to get further down the line so everybody can see what Drew's cooking up, because it's in what Aurelio's got going on. The art is fantastic. It's just a fun horror book.
Definitely go and sign up now, and that way you get notified as soon as your Kickstarter goes live. It's going to be big time.
Can I pick up issue 1 if I back issue 2? Is there a bundle deal?
Yes, there will be bundle deals. So you
Awesome.
can, if you missed #1, you can get in on it. You can get the whole thing going.
Good. Awesome. That looked great.
Very nice. So Sparrow, if people go and see us in Dallas Fan Expo, can they get you to sign a copy of this or what?
Yeah, absolutely.
How much do you charge now for your autographs? Is it like $45?
No, I don't charge anything for my autograph. If you bought something that I worked on, I owe you a signature, and I'm one of those people. I don't. I mean, if you brought me 100 Darkwing Duck books that were all the same, I might say okay, come on, you're CGC in these, right? You're gonna sell these on eBay.
What if I brought you a Yarmir Yager jersey and I wanted it autographed by Aaron Sparrow?
Sure. Look, sometimes I get asked to sign the Dynamite Darkwing Duck books that I didn't even work on, and so I at first I would resist. I'd be I didn't work on this. But some people are just so insistent, or they want me to sign them so badly that now I'll do it as long as I can write something on it. Aren't you sorry? Or aren't you sorry that Sylvania and I didn't work on this?
Will you sign my Fantastic Four relaunch and say I didn't work on this book? Love, Aaron Sparrow, because I
absolutely will.
Cool.
I absolutely will. You bring me something, I'll say like, I'm sorry that you bought this Ryan North book. I'll do things.
The important question I want to know is, if you sign my book, how much more can I get on eBay for it?
Exactly.
Actually, probably less.
So Hicks, I think I've got your next big video that's going to blow up.
Which one is that? I'm sorry. Is it Aaron will sign anything for
No.
the price?
LK's. I need a parody commercial for Star Wars and/or playset and figures of the sexual assault.
Hold on, keep that on the screen. I can work on that. I bought the stuff to do parody music, so I can maybe finagle my way into make this. This would be a lot of fun.
It would be great, and I guarantee you it would be. It would do some numbers.
I'll build it. I'll build a diorama.
Yes.
I'll use a Rose Tico figure to sit. Never mind. That lady's been through enough. Apparently, it's all our fault. So
that's right. I think it's all our fault that her new movie flopped.
I think that the toys, they're missing a great opportunity now. Instead of a lightsaber coming out when they push the button, just think with the sexual assault button switch. You got to make it red, though.
Why is this guy yelling at you, Aaron? What'd you do to Pluto?
Well, I'm looking. I'm not seeing what's going on.
Well, it's all gone now. I had it removed, but he was calling you a clown or some crap like that. Aaron Sparrow's not a clown. He's a man of dignity and deserves your respect.
I'm sorry that I didn't see it. I would have definitely had some things to say.
That's fine, Sparrow. So you're late to the party. What the hell happened? Did you have to make breakfast or something?
No, I was just up really late last night, and so everything that I had to do in the morning was pushed back, and I was just looking at the time, and I was like, I'm not going to be there right at 7. I'm going to be a little bit late. So yeah, just running behind.
Doc, that sounds like a very similar story that we experienced today.
It really is. I overslept. I don't oversleep. My brain just goes at 7 a.m. Like, hey, fucker, get up. You already overslept. And I slept it until 9:30 this morning.
Man. So I had to do Doc Unfiltered with no Doc. It's Wes Unfiltered. I started cursing, and I started using I started calling people derogatory names that I'll have to cut out for the YouTube just to make it spicy enough to be an unfiltered episode, Aaron.
Oh man, if I would have been up early enough, or I would have been available early enough, I would have come in and filled in for him. I can be pretty grumpy in the morning.
How can you be grumpy after this week's comic books?
Well, I mean, that's true. There's some good stuff this week. I mean, G.I. Joe and Green Lantern alone are, which, by the way, I would just like to point out for our dear departed Sully, who is not here with us today.
He's not departed. He's not dead. He's on vacation in Florida.
Yeah, well, I mean, Florida. You might as well be dead. No, I'm kidding. I don't have anything against Florida. No, Jersey. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But no, his pick of the weeks were Green Lantern and G.I. Joe, which are also my picks of the week.
Yeah. G.I. Joe was a lot of fun. The first fight between Cobra Commander and Duke.
I actually told you if you wanted to put those up on the screen, I would do a dramatic reading of the first 3 pages with you because they were so damn good.
They were. And a lot of times you get that cover and it teases something and it never happens.
And the dialogue was just spot on. Yeah, the dialogue was spot on.
Yeah, I definitely heard Cobra Commander's voice going, that sniveling bastard trying to talk down to Duke.
You know what I love, though, is I love the fact that this Cobra Commander is not a sniveling bastard. This Cobra Commander is kind of a badass.
He's a little bit more dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
But he's still got the voice. I could still hear it.
Oh, no, it's definitely still got the voice, yeah.
Who's writing G.I. Joe now?
So this is the Energon Universe G.I. Joe that came out this week. Larry Hama still writes A Real American Hero, but the Energon Universe G.I. Joe is being written by Josh Williamson, and he is killing it.
Oh, okay.
It is really fucking good.
Yeah, everybody's raving about it. I've been missing a lot of new good stuff.
Been slacking on it.
Yeah.
You know what? I almost slacked on it, and I'm like, because I'm not reading new comics. And I jumped on it, and I'm like, nope. I gave it 1 issue, and it grabbed me so much in 1 issue that I'm like, yep, no, I'm buying this regularly. and I have been.
And the cliffhanger with Clutch, exactly who I wanted to see.
Do you guys think we're turning a corner and good comics are coming back? Good mainstream comics, at least.
I mean, I
I
think
DC's doing pretty good.
not from Marvel, yeah, not from Marvel. But you know what? DC's doing pretty good, but for every good book that DC puts out, they put out like 3 Fartaculars and Fire and Ice, and what's this new one, Californication? You know, like it's just
Dude,
like, what are you?
I'm
what are you
worried.
doing?
It's
City.
California Love.
Yeah.
How
Is that
dare
really
you?
the
How
title?
dare you?
And then a Nightwing Butt-tacular or something like that, or just
Nothing but
fun?
Nightwing. Yeah, so it's like every step forward DC takes, they take 2 steps back.
I know. Oh my God. It's embarrassing. You remember in the 70s when we were supposed to be embarrassed by comics, but we weren't? Now we're not supposed to be embarrassed by comics, but we are. You know?
Indeed.
Jesse Snyder tells a story about when he was in journalism class. The guy that was the editor read comics, and Jesse was like, "Oh, cool, you read comics? I read comics." And he goes, one day the guy was sitting there reading a comic, and a girl walked into the room, and the guy threw the comic across the room so that she wouldn't see him reading the comic book. And Jesse said that always bothered him. And now I think Jesse'd be like, "No, I get it. Yeah, I get it. Like if it was a modern comic, yeah, I get why you'd throw it."
I was on my football team in college, and I dreaded them finding out that I read comics and played Dungeons and Dragons. You know, I segregated my life into compartments. And I'll never forget one day I just fell asleep in my bed, and I had Daredevil comics all over, and they just busted in. "Hey, we're going to a party!" And I'm like, "Oh!" Like I felt like I got caught like a movie doing something I shouldn't be doing. And
I swear to God, it's not comic books. It's
I swear,
pornography.
these are not my comic books. I don't know how to. But they all. One of them was like, "Oh, I love Daredevil. Is this the one with?" And I was like, "Oh, I've been living in fear of this moment for like 3 years, and it's cool." You know, I was like, "Oh, it was such a relief."
You bunch of
Your
closet
dad's there
comic
going,
geeks.
"Well, tell your mom you ate Daredevil."
But it was like a big weight was lifted off my shoulders. Oh my God! All right. Then it kind of backfired because now I'm going to the party telling the girls I read Daredevil. The guy's like,
Too far. You're overcorrecting.
"That's between the guys. That's okay."
If you're looking for good comic books in your direct market, there's some good stuff from DC. But if you go to Energon, Ghost Machine, there's some really cool, like older kind of characters like Space Ghost, Flash Gordon that are all really, really good. So the indies are where it's at, really.
I get all the Ghost Machine stuff. He's firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, Ghost Machine stuff's a lot of fun. So,
did you read that GI? What's his name? The robot. I can't think of his name. Not GI Robot, because that's from Junkyard Joe.
Yeah,
Junkyard
Joe.
Joe.
A lot of fun.
Oh my God, that Junkyard Joe was I got like teary-eyed. A robot with post-traumatic stress disorder. Oh my God, it just hit me. I thought that was one of the best comics I read all year. So good.
very
And new
nice.
ideas, which is nice. New takes on, sci-fi concepts, new ideas, new characters. This is everything that we say that we want. Everything that retailers say that they want, but a lot of retailers aren't backing it, aren't supporting it.
But Aaron, you're forgetting one very important thing. The customers are Nazis.
Oh, that's right.
And we must dismiss them.
Unfortunately.
Very true. We've also got returning Mr. Jermaine Dargan.
Hey,
You were out
fellas, good
doing
morning.
dad duty, huh?
Yeah, see, we got a full house. Yep. Daughter had a driving lesson. Just taught her how to do biscuits and sausage. Or at least she's trying to anyway.
While she was driving? It seems very unsafe.
You got yourself a keeper there.
She's at 15, 16. 15, we turned 16 in September. So, yep. Getting ready to I'm working on my being chauffeured poses in the car. The arm up on the window, all that good stuff.
Well, welcome back. You ready to talk about some comic books?
Yeah, where are we at right now? Sounds like we were talking about a good industry.
Yeah, we were just having a fun conversation. But did you get to read the G.I. Joe Roadblock book this week?
G.I. Joe Roblox? No, I have it, but I have not read it yet. I've read the Beachhead, and I still got to work on Jinx and Spirit and Roblox. But I'm looking forward to it.
It looks pretty fucking cool. I'll give you that.
It was better than Spirit.
Okay.
I still have some. I think that largely all of the Silent Mission issues have been kind of a miss. None of them even come close to living up to those original 2 stories that Larry Hama did.
No.
The Roadblock, gorgeous art. Actually, I'd say every single one of the books has had gorgeous art. Just they're not all as good as telling the story without words and captions and
especially the Beachhead one. It was like not quite sure what you were supposed to take away from that as the moral of the story, if you will, or what the point was. But sometimes it's kind of like when I attended a writing seminar with Jim Shooter one time, and someone said like, who would you trust to write a story if like every panel was black and it was just word balloons? And he said, not too many people, probably Frank Miller, but that's about it. Because not everybody has a command of storytelling to understand like rising tension, how to set the story up, how to get from one point to the next, when to do a palate cleanse in the story, how to lead the reader through the story when basically you don't have the visuals to work with. That's you need master craftsmen for that. You just can't hand it off to anyone. So
yeah, and then sometimes you have the opposite problem. Like for example, I edited a book called The Atlantean for Russ Leach, which is based on Call the Conqueror, and second issue is coming out pretty soon. And one of the things that I keep telling Russ is that he and his co-writer, there's a lot of panels where I just say, just kill this caption, kill this caption, kill this caption, because he doesn't need it. Russ's art is so strong that it's actually like the captions are actually sometimes detracting from the story because his art is just telling it so well. I'm like, you don't need this. You don't need this. So it's a really good book.
Yeah. And that's classic teaching writers. A lot of times it's show, don't tell. If your artist has already done the job, it's like, bro, it's kind of like what Ali said. When you look at the Ali, I think it's the Ali Foreman fight. There's a moment in the fight where it looks like he's about to throw another punch before Foreman goes down, and he catches himself because he realized he would be messing up an already beautiful moment. So he kind of holds back, and you just have, and that just comes from time and experience. Yep.
I was talking, obviously I have our YouTube channel, so we're talking a lot about comics. And last night we did a debate, who's more important, writers or who's more important, artists. And we all concluded that they're both important. But me being a writer, I can't draw to save my life. I still said the art in a comic book should convey all the information. The words should all tell you what the artist couldn't convey through the art. So the words are to supplement the art in comic books.
I agree with that.
Mm-hmm. I think so too. I think art is far more important.
Oh yeah,
Otherwise, write a novel.
I agree. That's what Greg Capullo said, because I do both of them, and I don't think. As a comic book fan, I buy a book for an artist all day, every day. Yep. Writers, I respect them and they're very important, but a lot of the classic stuff I read, it wasn't necessarily just a writer that came up with it either. There are a lot of these talented storytellers, and I think that's where you get some of the better comics, when you get an artist, or you have an artist who can convey so much with so little. Like how many Silver Age Marvel books have you ever read where you're like, why is this captioned like this? Like Spider-Man will over-explain, I'm doing a flip to dodge this piece of rope to do this. I think it takes away from a lot of that.
Yeah.
But I can also read a lot of comic books that are just very, like, silent issues. I love those. Like,
yeah, but they still have a good story. Somebody wrote that script and put it, you know what I mean? Just because there's not words. But let's flip it back a bit. Early Image. When did you quit reading Spawn because the story was bad? You know, or Prophet, you know, or
spoiler alert, I never read Spawn because I never liked it.
Oh, okay.
But I got to
you heathen.
I toughed it out to issue 50 before I was like, I can't anymore. I can't.
But John, I understand your point 100%.
Yeah, but like when I work with creative teams, I always like, you know, and this is why the Marvel method is controversial at times. Mm-hmm. And this is why Kirby and Ditko had a point. It's like basically the artist is this, in a sense, they were saying they were the authors of the stories. And because the writing, a lot of times, if Sully would say he would appreciate this, writing is sometimes the garnish that you put on the meal.
Absolutely.
And the inker, in a lot of ways, and some people would say when it comes to, what I tell people with inkers is like, sometimes you want an inker who basically is sometimes even a better artist, like in terms of craft, in terms of anatomy and things like that. But the inker determines the style of the book. So when you look at the style of the book, you want a good inker, and then the colorist enhances as well. But all of this is about when you're reading the script and you're looking at the art, you want people who understand that they're enhancing what basically the penciler puts down on the page. And that's what the beauty of the collaboration is. Sometimes the stories are driven by the writer, but it's like, honestly, it's words and pictures, but bro, if it ain't on the page, it ain't on the stage. And that's all there is to it. And
Somebody said this last night. Oh, I'm sorry, Wes.
Now let's get to the people. We do have some super chats we need to hit up here. We do have Dion. Can someone please take that Steven Seagal movies away from Jeff Loeb? Batman 159 sucks so badly. Imagine starting a story with like 20 continuity errors. So, Doc, you and I were supposed to review Batman 159, but it's not going to happen. I already reviewed it solo. Did you notice 20 continuity errors?
Not really, but look, that would require me to know a lot more Batman continuity than I do.
All right, what did you think of the book?
Look, I didn't hate it. It's one of those things where this is a little more proof about how important art is. This was a very, like, looking at it critically, this is a very mediocre story that I was into the entire time because of Jim's art. Like,
that's fair.
There was nothing interesting here. It's retreading Origin. It's retreading the whole Batman and Joker dynamic. It's retreading Hush. There's no mystery this time. And, and then Jason Todd gets the drop on him and steals Joker.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, too much here, Doc, but I thought it was pretty mid.
It was very, very mid as a story. But because of Jim's art, I was like, yeah, I'm into this. Like the whole fucking time.
I hated Jim's redesign of the Riddler, though. Hated that.
That did look terrible.
I think Jim Lee does terrible designs over. He's a good artist. If he has a character that already existed and draws it, it is great. But when he designs his own stuff, it is most of the time it's a miss.
Speaking of his designs, has the Lady Mandarin figure showed up at Ollie's yet? The Lady Mandarin Wolverine 2-pack? Damn it.
I was just there yesterday. Multiple locations. No. The newest thing out is that Namor with the long hair.
Okay.
The Jay Lee one?
I believe so.
Like the early 90s Jay Lee.
Yeah.
If Power Princess turns up, I just keep saying this. If Power Princess turns up, just grab them all. Just grab every one of them. No questions. Just grab them.
I got questions.
Yeah, me too.
What's with you
Power
and
Princess?
Power Princess?
It is a spectacular figure. It is ridiculously hard to find, and it is super expensive on the secondary market right now. I wanted to pick up 2 when she came out because I want 1 to complete my Squadron Supreme, which Doc helped out with 2 of the figures, and I want to turn 1 into Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah, she's the Wonder Woman knockoff. Yeah,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a good looking figure. I understand why it's $130. $200. What?
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane because it's a series that Marvel didn't really tell people this is only going out to specialty stores because it's at the point where the big box stores were like, look, we don't want to carry all these Marvel Legends. We keep having to clearance them out, or we're like choked with Eternals figures still. It's basically the movie figures are killing the Marvel Legends line. Every time they put out movie stuff, it sits, and then they don't order anymore. They don't order any of the comic series figures.
Yeah, I didn't even know they had made one.
There you go. But I do have a full review of Batman 159. It'll be up on the Patreon tomorrow, and then you'll be able to get it on the YouTubes on Monday. The Jagrin 2, Gotham City Sirens Volume 2, Doc and West special review. The Leah Williams experience is waiting for you, July 4th. Special. What do you say, Doc?
I will be here. I mean, it's Leah Williams being
Bimbos
terrible.
in space. It's got potential, Doc. It could be fun.
Yeah, except for once again, as someone that's a little bit of a bimbo aficionado, Leah Williams not even close.
All right, I'm sorry.
He's just a dumb
living
twat.
authentic, but bimbos. But they said it was going to be Guillaume March as the artist. It's not the artist. It's somebody named like Hastings or something. But I don't know.
Guillaume March dodging a bullet there. Why do they
I know.
Give the guy something good to draw. Jeez.
Doc and I will take on this burden. Doc, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that can be arranged.
Yeah, we can do that. Doc will take one for the team.
Absolutely.
Black Manta. Who's fatter, James Tynion or Dan Slott? I don't think it's all that close. It's Dan Slott.
It's Dan Slott, and it's not even close. Dude, his fat has fat.
And he's tiny, so he's almost round. Like, I think if you were to push Dan Slott, he would just roll.
He's an Oompa Loompa.
Yeah, perfect.
I'm
You know
basing a character. I've said
Oompa Loompas
weeks
weren't
prior,
like round. It was the guy that ate the blueberries.
Yeah,
He
Violet.
turned into a giant blueberry that rolled.
I
you're
met
messing
Dan
up
Slott
your
like 5
chocolate
times
factory.
before, while he was doing She-Hulk, and he was so cool. And he actually invited me to sit at his table, and we were shaking hands and taking pictures. And then I meet him like a year later, and he tells me to F off. I was like, what happened to this guy?
Oh, so Jesse Snyder was a huge fan of his She-Hulk run at the time.
Yeah.
And did a panel with him where Jesse interviewed him. And Jesse had all these questions that he'd written down. He'd gone in like this deep dive into kind of like Dan Slott's career, and he really wanted to try to ask him some different questions than he would normally get. And Slott was such a dick on the panel. It's like it's just forever tainted, It's like he just imagine getting a swelled head about writing comics.
Yeah.
And She-Hulk to boot.
Yeah.
And Jesse's a cool guy. He only lives like 10 minutes away from me. We hang out all the time. Jesse's awesome.
Yeah,
Very
Jesse's
nice.
Jesse's one of my best friends in the world.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. What an interesting guy, man. Always an adventure when the phone rings and it's Jesse.
Yeah.
What are we doing? I'm packing a bag.
You're like, what's this gonna be about?
Yeah.
And Officer Balls is back in town.
What?
I didn't even know Officer Balls left.
Welcome
Where's Officer Balls?
I'm like living in my bubble or something. I guess I
He's
missed that part.
apparently back in town. Welcome back, Officer Balls.
Caleb says interesting dinosaur stuff coming out this year, and some Predator fans, not just Badlands, but also a cartoon killer of killers.
Don't let Ryan North know about that.
About dinosaur stuff.
Oh,
Coming out?
dinosaurs. He's doing crypto, but yeah, I'll have to go see Jurassic World Rebirth. I bet you freaking Jeff is all in on Jurassic World, right, Jeff? You like dinosaurs?
I am counting down the days until I watch it on streaming. Dude, the last trilogy burnt me out, especially that last one. Whew, that was
Oh my
nice.
god! Like the middle one was dumb, but it was basically Jurassic World was basically the Star Wars sequels of Jurassic Park.
It's the first movie all over again. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
That's why I didn't.
and the
hate
first one,
Jurassic
the first
World.
one, people it was like it went through the same pattern. The first one was like, okay, it got some praise because people were excited to see it, and then afterwards, and they started to go, well, it really wasn't that different from it really was just kind of a retread, wasn't it? And like they started to ask those questions. Then the second one came out and was absolutely abysmal, and then the third one came out and was even worse because of how abysmal the second one was. The only difference is they continued to make money on the Jurassic World movies because dinosaurs.
Yeah. I didn't make it to Dominion. I stopped at Fallen Kingdom, but I'll definitely watch Jurassic World Rebirth. What's the other dinosaur movie that Callum was talking about?
Oh, it's like a war movie that where it looks like the dinosaurs are actually, it's like an R-rated thing. So you're actually going to get some crazy dinosaur violence.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, some dino sex. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Don't we all?
What do you think, Jeff? A little dino sexual assault in the movie? Make it a little more mature
Well,
for a new audience?
It's good enough for Star Wars, right?
Yeah, it's good enough for Star Wars. It's good enough for Jurassic Park. One of the greatest.
We could call it Jurassic Pork.
Yeah.
Look at, wasn't there Tammy and the T-Rex, that movie with Denise Richards back in the 90s? Like, there's a market for it somewhere.
So if somebody just asked, like, how is Jurassic World a retread of Jurassic Park?
Because it's
A couple
based
of kids
completely
in
around
danger. Somebody that doesn't like kids has to protect them, get them through there. You get the music, you even get the same vehicles and all that stuff. It's basically the same outline.
all
with
the
new
nostalgia
dinosaurs.
bait. Yeah, all the
Yes.
nostalgia bait. The fact that it's centered around the park.
Mhm. No, I don't hold that against it. I thought it was quite enjoyable, but I love that Jurassic Park movie. Now, as far as Predator, I'm willing to give this Badlands movie a shot, but that Predator design is a little off.
The Whoopi
Yeah, the
Goldberg
head.
hair is not working.
It's not the hair. It's like just the way the face looks. It looks like
The face
got
is not that
issues.
different. If you look at the face, it's not that different from the Stan Winston design. It's just a darker skin tone. But the way, because it doesn't have the dreads on the side, it throws off the symmetry of the face. So the face to your mind looks different. Looks
It's
red.
also it's
it
not
changes the
textured the
silhouette.
same. It started lighter color and then gets darker, and you get all these spots and everything.
It's too human looking, so it activates that uncanny valley feeling. Like the original Predator, we accepted it as an alien. This one we think is a human hybrid or something like that, and it's not right.
I'm generally okay with it because I've spent years buying the Kenner figures into the NECA figures, and there's a million different Predator designs and a million different kind of like Predator structures, but like facial structures and things like that. So I'm not as harsh on it as some people, but I mean, I know why people looked at it and went, wait, what? Ugh. I can see why. And it's just because you're throwing off the whole general. There's something in comic books, there's something in movies called the silhouette.
There you go.
Silhouette. And if a character has the right silhouette, it's like your brain will pick up if something looks wrong with the silhouette that you're familiar with. And this is what's happening with the Predator, is people are looking at it and it doesn't have the same silhouette.
It has
So
the same silhouette as Michelle Obama. So then
or like I said, is Whoopi Goldberg on The View. Like that's what it's got. So it's throwing everybody
that
off.
would be great. Make 5 Predators analogs to The View.
No, that would be terrible. Don't do that.
Let's make a parody comic, Aaron.
Well, yeah. Why don't you just? I was going to say, John. Why don't you just make a movie where somebody's on a planet fighting 5 feral pigs? Because that's exactly what you would do.
I'll do that if I get to kill the sunny one. Then I'm all for it.
That's so mean.
You have Michael Moore come out and just like cheering on the pigs.
The Predator cartoon looks pretty cool though. I'll check them both out.
Yeah,
I love Predator.
I like the Samurais versus Predator. I'm in for that.
Yeah, that's right in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Yeah,
That's two
Yeah,
great
watch
flavors that go great together.
Cowboys
Chocolate
versus
and peanut butter.
it's endless. Like Crusaders versus Predators.
Well, that's how I like a franchise to be kept alive, because for as much as I enjoy like Die Hard or John Wick or some of these movies where the character keeps coming back, like how can I keep getting into these situations, putting Predators, these great hunters versus great warriors, that's like out of that, what was that old show on Spike TV, Deadliest Warrior? It feels like that kind of a situation with a narrative, and I would love one day for them to do like bring that back, do Predator versus all this for like they should do it as a promotional campaign. Like literally make one episode. Could the Predator take out this? Could the Predator take out that? And every stinger ends with watch the show to find out. I should work in their marketing.
Predator versus Alexander the Great. Predator versus Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
I'm all for
The
all.
Predator's going to win. Well,
Predator
Arnold
versus
Schwarzenegger
Big
beat
Chungus Khan, the guy that was
I got one. How about the Predator lands on Sentinel Island, and then the Sentinelese come out and just attack him instantly?
Well, the thing is, you've got to have at least a couple of movies where the Predator doesn't lose,
Yeah.
because he always loses at the end. And he's kind of lost his luster because of that. Like when you get beat by a 100-pound girl.
He
Where
won
did
in
it
AVP.
Did he though?
Yes,
We lost.
he and the black chick defeated the alien together, and they almost made out.
And then in the first
Oh,
5
yeah, they
minutes
almost
of the
kissed.
next movie, he dies because he is infected with an alien.
Well, I
he
didn't
was
tell
alright.
you to watch the next movie. I don't know why you would have done that, Doc.
I don't know how you saw the next movie, Doc, because it was just a black screen as far as I could tell.
Mhm.
But
It's on Dockbuster Video if you're ever bored.
the Predator.
I
won.
mean, yeah, I'll throw it on in the background. I do like the Pred Alien. I thought that was a really great design. A great design that NECA has not given us another figure of since that movie came out.
Gotta love
Yeah.
licensing.
Jagron 2. How many puffs do you need to write Absolute Martian Manhunter? You need a lot. It's clear
lot
that
of- lot of
he
mushrooms. A lot of mushrooms.
He was very high writing that book.
It shows.
Yeah.
But it's like people praise it. This guy is like the new Tom King.
I think they praise it because they don't know what it's about, and they don't want to sound stupid
It's
criticizing something they don't understand.
it's because he's oxygen deficient from still wearing a fucking mask in 2025.
Well,
Oh, he's one of
it
those guys?
goes so well with his Free Palestine shirt that he wears. It's like just wear a shirt that says current thing and have your mask on.
If he wrote a good book, I wouldn't fucking care. But the book is like, the art is fantastic. It's super trippy, totally atmospheric, and it almost makes what he's writing kind of work, but it doesn't work
That's
because it's
impossible.
nonsense. It's fucking gobbledygook. I don't know, man. He's definitely like 4 bowls into it when he wrote that fucking book, dude. Gallum, this is kind of for Aaron. Did you laugh that The Last of Us 2 shills cried this week and blame gamers for the failure? And Mark
I didn't
Hamill's on
laugh.
Twitter again.
I didn't laugh. I just kind of shrugged because I had never gotten around to playing the first Last of Us game, so I didn't have that same like attachment by the time the news of the second one came out. I just rolled my eyes at the whole idea of it and all of the ridiculousness of Neil Druckmann. So no, I think it's funny that people are blaming gamers because why in the hell would you blame gamers? We tried to warn you. You know, they tried to warn you. They tried to tell you.
I don't want to make this a long rant, but I'll just say this. All the crap that happened after Last of Us 2 and how you see the true color of these people, I don't buy Naughty Dog stuff anymore. First off, one, they just only make The Last of Us. But it's one of those situations where, like, you know, you're supposed to remove the art from the artist. Like, as a wrestling fan, did The Rock kind of screw up WrestleMania? A little bit. Is he still my favorite from when I was a kid? Absolutely still watch him play the games X, Y, and Z. But with this other stuff, like, I don't want to even play Uncharted anymore. One of my favorite series ever. I go, screw this guy. And I know people think like it's extreme, but it's not even like a thing that I live with. I just see it on my PlayStation and I go, I'm good. And that's how I feel about any of that. Anytime I see that thing, that logo, the Naughty Dog paw, I just go, I'm okay. And then I don't need to touch it anymore.
Yeah, once I find out that you actively hate me, I'm not giving you my money.
I don't play games, so I'm totally out of it. I've never intended to watch The Last of Us, though.
I tried to watch the show, but it was just like it was so padded out.
It's all overrated.
Zero
crap.
interest.
Yeah, it's just like if you've watched Walking Dead, you could just go read Walking Dead again.
I think if you take the new Predator design and take off all the makeup, it's that girl from The Last of Us. That terrible.
I have seen people superimpose that.
The autistic girl?
Yeah. The one who looks like she's from the moon.
Or like a walking potato.
So
that's how I describe her.
12 years old.
Is she really?
No, actually, she's like 20 something.
Yeah, no, she's the same age as Millie Bobby Brown. Because that was the thing that was going around the internet. Like these two.
Oh my God, 2003.
Yeah, she's 22.
Yeah. There you go.
He's 22 going on potato. Yeah.
Optimus Prime asked, would you still be reading Marvel DC if you didn't have to cover them? I asked this question about a year ago and pretty much unanimous no with a couple exceptions. Has the tide changed? I would definitely be reading DC. I would be reading Green Lantern. I'd be reading Aquaman. I would definitely be reading Batman and Robin. I think those books are all good. I would probably be reading The New Gods. I don't know if I would have checked out Resurrection Man because I'd never really even like looked at the character. But I would probably be checking out Absolute Batman as well. So I would definitely still be reading DC. I wouldn't be reading Marvel though. I probably would have already given up on X-Men and ASM and basically everything that they're doing now. Perhaps maybe Aliens versus Avengers, but even then that I don't know that I would read that if I didn't get the review copies because it's so expensive. So I think it has turned for DC.
I read no Marvel, but I would be reading DC. Although I am gonna pick up Spider-Man versus Predator just because Marcelo Ferreira is drawn it.
I'm buying that too, dude. I went out and picked up the Amazing Spider-Man relaunch #1 again. The messed up part is I know I'm feeding the beast on that regard. I don't even read the modern Spider-Man books that I buy. I've been trying to just get the whole run. They're at what, $9.95, and I'm like 80% of the way there for every book that's ever had Spider-Man in it. So it's like a weird obsession to finish that once I get to 1,000, but I ain't reading them. And if you had asked me a year ago, I bought more books a year ago. I bought that Incredible Hulk. Maybe it was even 2 at this point. Remember when the Hulk went up north and it was like a horror book and the government was following him around?
Immortal Hulk, you mean?
Yeah. I bought the first couple issues. I thought that was solid. And then, hold on, I actually got this bag of old comics sitting here literally under my shelf. What else did I buy? Oh, never mind. These are all just issues of Amazing Spider-Man. Never mind. I just really like Spider-Man.
No, the simple fact of the matter is like you don't really need to buy Marvel, DC. The indies are doing they're putting out so much good stuff right now that I think probably 75% of my buys are indie books like Mad Cave, Scott Image. It's like, yeah, I'm definitely. I don't think the fact I'm saying I don't think I'm doing any Marvel. If I am doing any big two, it's been DC, like Wes said, Aquaman, Justice League Unlimited, Batman and Robin, things along those lines. But the indies are killing it right now. I don't feel the need to have to be a Marvel head like I would have been 15 years ago. Yeah.
And Doc, you wouldn't be because you quit.
Yeah.
'Cause you're a quitter.
Yes, because I'm a quitter. No, I would still. I like Weapon X-Men. That's it.
I thought you liked Ultimate Spider-Man.
I like it, but I'm getting sick of it because nothing's fucking happening.
There you go.
Okay, Harry
That's
died.
Marvel.
All right.
Nothing's happening.
And now they're wandering about the fucking desert. Because when I think of Spider-Man, I think of being in a place where he can't swing from anything.
Yeah, like
Remember
what
that
that
used to be a bit. Remember that used to be a bit when he was on the Webs tour and he had to go to San Diego, and they're like, unless he was downtown, he couldn't really swing around, and he ended up like fighting Boomerang down by the docks. It was done as a story element, and it worked for like an issue, but you can't do that for
that's my favorite era Spider-Man, man. Is that David Michelini as the writer? Because those are just fun books.
It was spectacular, so I don't. He was on Amazing.
Oh, okay.
And then,
I get this mixed up.
J.M. DeMatteis.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, you also. I mean, it was a killer's row of talent across all 4 Spider-Man books.
The same way
That's
that
the
it
best era.
was across the X books.
Yeah,
You got
and the
Larry
Superman
Hama,
books in the
Louise
'90s. You know.
Yeah.
Callum says there's a third movie, is a Walking with Dinosaurs documentary, but the CGI doesn't look as good as the 1999 series, but this one has Spinosaurus in it. Now we're speaking my language. It's one of the dinosaurs my 3-year-old loves.
That's my girlfriend's favorite dinosaur.
Well, everybody should have a favorite dinosaur. Spinosaurus it's pretty cool because he's actually like he lives in the water, right?
Yep.
Type of fucking swamp dinosaur.
Mm-hmm.
If I
That sounds like a great comic.
If I make it to Heroic Tales number 4, there's a dinosaur story in it. So
Swamposaurus.
Guys, I don't know if the trades still exist. I don't know if Dark Horse still has the right, or if they even reprint these anymore. But if you can, go find Ricardo Delgado's Age of Reptiles.
Yeah, we just talked about it last night. No words and a great story.
Yeah, it's just fantastic. Like, he tells you a story with dinosaurs. He manages to make them emote enough so that you know what they're feeling, and tells a story with, you know, a family of velociraptors with some T-Rexes. Yep. Like, it's absolutely fantastic.
It's an absolute masterclass in storytelling in comic books.
And
his Doc's about to start to talk about the Pride of Baghdad.
His artwork is gorgeous, and he's the guy that designed the Deep Space Nine space station. So, some good credentials there.
I've talked about that enough. I'm not talking about it today.
All right,
Hicks, that's good.
Hicks, what's your favorite dinosaur?
I'll be basic and say the T-Rex. I mean,
class
such a
for a reason.
Yeah.
Jervain, you got a favorite dinosaur?
Brontosaurus. He's like Paulie from Goodfellas. He only moves when he has to.
And you like the Flintstones? You want a Brontosaurus burger?
There you go. The only one to eat.
John, you got a favorite dinosaur?
Ankylosaurus. Just a little tough guy.
Good one.
You don't want to eat it. You know it. You know,
it's a tank.
Leave it alone. Just leave it alone. It's a little tough guy.
Absolutely. My 3-year-old loves the Ankylosaurus.
Oh, cool.
Dion. Also, Tom Taylor ripped off Denny O'Neil's Venom and the Demon trilogy. Also, Scarlet and her evil mom feel like Ra's al Ghul and the Talia copy. Man, that Detective Comics story didn't end up being very good, did it?
But did it get him on CNN? Because that's all that matters.
It did. He did not get on CNN. But we did get the reveal that Asma was, in fact, the girl's mom, the only person in the story that it could have been.
By the way, I got to get Sully to stop wearing his Newsies cap. I'll just keep reminding him that that's Tom Taylor's signature look. We'll get Sully to go back just to the ball cap.
I don't know if he completely ripped off the Venom story, but there's definitely some elements to it. But it kind of started out that way, but then they didn't even really talk about how he was taking these like drugs to make him young again after like the third issue of the story. It was weird. It was all over the place, but totally disappointing. But as Doc said, I always set myself up by believing in something that I know is probably going to be bad.
You know he can't do in-continuity stuff. You know the only time Tom Taylor does anything even remotely decent is when he's handed a outline for a story that's out of continuity.
Also, when he's just adapting a video game.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently. Yeah. Batman and Robin is the book that's ongoing right now that you need to read if you're a Batman fan. That's definitely the best one. Love what PKJ is doing. Chris Creative. The story may not be great, but I am enjoying the giant-sized Batman issues they've done for 158 and 159. Not
Those-
No, I almost picked those up just because of how much like bigger the artwork was, and
The problem,
can't bag and board them.
yes, the problem I have with the essentially original artboard sized is there's nowhere to store them. This is the same problem as like the artist editions from IDW.
I love those books.
There's no bookshelf that is 17 inches tall.
Do you want to know what I did with mine? I literally took shelves off the bookcase, and they're all kind of like cascading because I have most of the Spider-Man ones and some Star Wars ones. You're not wrong, man. Like, it's an ordeal to pull out the Todd McFarlane one because it comes in this big cardboard tomb.
Yeah.
And I like have a full table and wipe that shit down. Like, they're fun, but it's like a once a month look.
Because I have a couple. I have the Jim Lee X-Men. I have the Byrne X-Men. I also have one that's not a real one. It's somebody put together a Brett Booth artifact edition, and it's a lot of his Wildstorm stuff, like from Backlash and Wildcats. And but it's still not 11 by 17. I have to turn them sideways and put them on my bookshelf in my living room.
That's what I do with my Marvel Treasury editions. You remember those gigantic?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I love.
they
to
all
collect
got
those.
destroyed. The original ones I bought as a kid, they were just too big for a kid. I had to
Now-
buy them again as an adult, and I have to put them flat on top of my long boxes.
Are you guys saying that there are 11 by 17 comics out there?
Yes.
Yes. Batman
Yeah,
158.
here's an
159.
easy way to do it because I sell an 11 by 17 book. If you really want to get them, they make 11 by 17 photo covers. And what you can do is go on Amazon and you can buy 11 by 17 pre-cut cardboard. So like when I ship out Tits and Art, I basically board and bag a giant book, and then you could just slip it in a 13 by 18 mailer. So if honestly, if the size is what is keeping you from it, there are ways to board and bag those books.
I want to
Okay.
put this out there for Chris Creative, since apparently he likes the plus size. In July, we'll be getting a Superman like 2025 Treasury Edition from Dan Jurgens and dang it, the guy that was doing the Nightwing book, Bruno Redondo. And it's going to be 17 by 11. It's going to be like the original Treasury format, magazine sized, which is cool. But also, if you like that, they are going to be doing an All-Star Superman #1 work in progress, like 17 by 11 magazine size, almost like miniature artist edition just for that issue, with a forward by Quietly in the original pencils with some inks. So if that's your format, there's some pretty cool stuff coming out in July.
What does stuff like that run from Marvel and DC? Like, what are they?
The Treasury Edition of Superman, which is going to be all new 80 pages, is going to be $15.
The
Oh, that's not bad at all.
Batman, the two Batman issues, because they're doing this for every issue of
Mm-hmm. Hush, dude.
Hatouche. Whatever they're I'm trying to pronounce it. Hatouche. Yeah, they're doing it for every issue. So, and they also have them foil. I don't know if they have foil and not foil, but my LCS had the foil ones.
I'm kind
I
of
was
looking forward to the Treasury Edition. We haven't done one of those in a long time.
See, there are ways to make comic books really fun, even at like from Marvel and DC. And I think those, like even the old reprints they've been doing of like Ali versus Superman and Wonder Woman versus Superman. Like I've been picking all those up just for like to see the classic art blown up. I mean, Neil Adams' work on Superman, Muhammad Ali is worth the price alone. So hopefully, like this newer ones, I don't know, at least live up to the hype, or at least that that format. I kind of hold it in high regards, is what I'm saying.
And finally, Callum says, I understand, and on Uncharted, Neil Druckmann fired Amy Hennig, who helped him succeed the first game, which is ironic because he has a thing for gay girls. He had fired a gay woman.
I did know that story because Amy Hennig, I mean, Uncharted was the shit back in the day. Those games were like Indiana Jones meets a little bit of Die Hard, and the characters were great. Nowadays, every character is kind of like cut and paste generic. I got to represent this quadrant of the internet. No, you don't. Make somebody awesome, and I don't care what you look like. I'll play your game. If you're weird,
Well, Neil believes heavily in in DEI initiatives, so he had to fire a gay woman who got where she is by merit because that can't be allowed.
Yeah, we can't
Maybe
let
that's what it
people
was.
be held accountable for their own work.
Mm-hmm. She has more
I thought they were
talent.
making an Uncharted movie.
They
They
did.
did.
They did.
It's
They
It
did.
had
Maple Bloom, right?
Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah. It wasn't good?
No,
not particularly.
The fact that
I
you
mean,
don't
if you like
remember.
the games, like it came and went. Like it made no like cultural impact whatsoever.
they needed somebody besides Mark Wahlberg to play Sully. I think it would have worked better without him. Tom Holland, he needed somebody better to play off of than Wahlberg.
It sucks
I
that
think they-
Angelina Jolie nailed fucking Laura Croft better.
That's true. It's kind of an embarrassment.
That first movie's not that bad.
I walked
Well,
out
there's
of it
two
as a
good
kid.
reasons to watch that movie.
Yep.
Yep.
Jeez. The hell's wrong with you, Jeff? This is a perfectly fine Indiana Jones knockoff movie.
Yeah. Look,
It's not the
Tomb Raider
Mummy,
was-
but
Tomb Raider was the shit back in the day. Like we had that on PC, like right as it came out, because we sold our house. My mom bought me a computer and all this stuff. And she's like, Tomb Raider, it's like Indiana Jones but a girl. And I thought, okay, I'll give it a shot. Had terrible controls, but that game is still fun.
very nice. Carlito Figueroa says, I heard praise for Green Lantern, Aquaman, Batman, and Robin. What are your thoughts on Joshua Williamson's Superman? I'm quite enjoying it. And this week's issue with Eddie Barrows and Dan Mora and Jamal Campbell was great. It's like issue 25. You got this weird, like, what is it, like kryptonite powered Super Lex? Like, almost like that stupid Batman failsafe type thing that comes out. Really good fight, really good ending on that one. So, no, I'm really enjoying Joshua Williamson's Superman. I think Green Lantern, Aquaman, and Batman and Robin are better than that one, but it's definitely another book that I would be reading from DC, even if I wasn't covering it. So I think it's been pretty darn good.
I love that our chat is fighting about Transformers the movie and G.I. Joe the movie. I love it. There's like a whole like civil war going on. It's like, oh god, I love the chat so
Are
much.
we going
You
live
guys
action or are we doing cartoon movies?
cartoon movies?
Yeah.
Transformers the movie ends 20 or so minutes into it, and after that, it's terrible. Okay, everybody.
Yeah, the G.I. Joe movie is way better, but the live action Transformers is better than the live action G.I. Joe.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
G.I. Joe Retaliation's actually really good.
I'll give you that.
No,
and
it's
Transformers
really not.
1 is running Transformers the movie down no matter what anybody says. Give it another 2 to 3 years.
Is it the animated one that just came out?
Yep. That
Oh
was,
no, Transformers 1 is great.
yeah, that was the marketing campaign they did for that movie was a tragedy. What they sold you as what it was going to be. It's like if I didn't get like a $5 off ticket and go just see it, I would have never watched that movie. But that movie is, yeah, it's what we use the term underrated, the word underrated too much these days. That movie is a cult classic just waiting to happen.
Well, you see the marketing sabotaging a lot of these things, and even like you see the press tour sabotaging a lot of these things because the Dungeons and Dragons movie, while not a hardcore fan, kind of
That was
Dungeons
so
and Dragons
good.
movie, was a
Yep.
fun movie.
was.
And the PR ruined it out of the gate when they were like, yeah, we really loved emasculating the male characters. They said that in an interview. And then so the entire like geekosphere was like, here we go again, and like wrote it off. But none of that is present in the movie. I mean, Chris Pine is a screw up in the movie, but
Yep.
so is everyone else. Like every single other member of their crew is a
They-
screw up, male
They
or
were like
female.
they seemed like when me and my friends get together, the Dungeon Master's just going, oh my God, why can't they just figure this out?
Yeah, and
Like
it's,
that's
and
part of
it's
Dungeons and Dragons is watching your players just like overthink things and figure
Bumble
out-
fuck around.
Yep.
Mhm.
My wife
Yeah,
knows
that's
nothing about Dungeons and
dynamics from
Dragons
the
and
game
loved
in the
that fucking
movie.
movie.
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
great.
It's like my friend Marie loved it too. Like, you know, she could not care less about Dungeons and Dragons. But you know, you give her like some kind of medieval fantasy movie with some monsters in it, and she's down. And then she thought it was a lot of fun.
I would still like to see a Dungeons and Dragons movie, but played like totally straight, like the Lord of the Rings. Like use all the monsters and the settings and stuff like that, but like don't yuck it up. I just think that would be such a phenomenal hit.
Doc would hate
Wes,
that more than anything
Wes-
you could possibly imagine.
Yes, I would.
Wes Jordan friend in the chat is talking about G.I. Joe Resolute, and I believe you have a few things to say about G.I. Joe Resolute.
Yeah, it's really good. I watched it with my boys, and they're still pissed off that there's no cartoon that goes with it. They're like, "What do you mean this is it?" Like, I don't know.
They killed Bazooka and kept it moving. Oh,
Mhm.
It's the fight between Snake Eyes and freaking Storm Shadow, man.
Yep.
This is amazing.
Storm Shadow, Snake Eyes' invasion of that island too, leading up to that fight, is just absolutely amazing.
Oh, and Duke laying down the law. It's him or me. Jews.
But yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Always trying to work that out.
Basically, G.I. Joe with like anime flair as far as the animation. It was great.
Hmm.
So I guess we should talk about old Mr. Rob Liefeld. He's not making great friends with the current people in charge of Marvel Comics. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about just what a shitty organization they were, that they don't respect their creators or anything. This last week, he came back and started talking about the current state of their X-Men and had nothing nice to say about that either. And in fact, Doc, I was pretty surprised. He actually suggested that they fire 3 of their longtime executives in charge of publishing.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's and they're the same people that we have constantly.
Mhm.
David Gabriel, Dan Buckley. I don't remember who the third. It was another dude named
Tom
Dave.
Brevoort.
Well, yeah, but Tom, he didn't go down into the creative. He was going with the executive level.
Yeah.
But he's not wrong. He just doesn't go far enough. And now it could be because Tom Brevoort's never going to end up an executive. And he will never, I mean, even though he's a VP, he's still never going to end up as an executive. He's still an editor, and he still has a lot of editor friends. And I guess he doesn't want to, he's still possibly worried about poisoning the well completely at the editorial level. All the rest of them, they're suits. They're not creative people. They never were creative people. They never will be creative people. Buckley, Gabriel, and the other fucking guy are just suits. So he doesn't necessarily, but I think that's just from a little bit of a, we're creative, and even though editorial is still kind of company, they're creative-ish. He doesn't want to really take on the creative. Also, I don't think he wants to go to the point of bashing the creative. He wants to put all the blame on the executive level, but it's literally the entire organization. He just doesn't go far enough, and it's probably out of professional courtesy that he doesn't go any further than he did. But he lambasted them. He's not wrong. They all need to go.
They all need to go. I almost feel like clean house at Marvel. There's still classic talents that are still viable and will work for Marvel. Just do they not want to pay them, or they don't care? Are they self-destructive, or are these people so far away from the classic good comics that they don't know good comics, and they don't realize that Chris Claremont or J.M. DeMatteis, these guys are still available for work? Like,
well,
I just wonder, it's like been 20 years since there's been good comics, and are these people just raised on bad comics and literally don't know better?
Well, there is something to be said about them not knowing better, and by that I mean these people are so egotistical that they've convinced themselves if they greenlight it, it is good. Because they greenlight it, it was good, and they are. And they are also incapable of determining okay from good. They can't differentiate degrees of quality. It's either not good or good. And if I greenlit it, if I was involved, it is good. Therefore, I can't in their brain, it breaks their brain to try to figure out why the good thing that they did over here failed miserably and nobody bought it after issue 1. And the good thing over here that they greenlit is everybody fucking loves, but it's still not really selling very well. They don't understand this. It like breaks their brain. These people, they're the same people that are absolutely incapable of any sort of nuance in thought or in discussion. So they're also incapable of nuance when it comes to
right. Like they need to clean house, and then I don't know, they put Aaron, or something like that in charge of Marvel, and it's like, okay, hire anybody you want. To me, if they put me in that position, my first question would be like, okay, show me your comic collection.
What's my budget?
That's your first question. Show me your comic collection. And if they're like, and they show me like a comicology report on their phone, nope, I want to see long boxes. I want to see beaten up long. Okay.
Would you
tell me about
would you accept the spreadsheet?
What's that?
Will you accept my spreadsheets?
I want to see pictures. Wes isn't here right now. I brought up my comic collection, but that would be my first. Show me your long boxes with your comics all over the place. Show, and then okay. Then the next question is who do you think should be your Mount Rushmore of comic book creators? Tell. And if they don't mention guys like Will Eisner, Wally Wood, Al Williams, things like that, then you have no business being a professional. Do you think sports announcers they don't know the history of baseball? Maybe they do. I don't.
A lot of them don't.
But you know what I mean? You should have a fundamental understanding of the medium as a whole. And then just randomly quiz them. Where is Wakanda? Okay, where is the current location of Avalon, the Great Refuge?
You're not going to be able to hire anybody with those questions, man.
Good.
Yeah.
People in the chat talking about, the fact if they would stop sexualizing Starfire, this character would be much more interesting. It's well, then you need to go down to George Perez's grave, kick over his tombstone and piss on it. Because, with all due respect, she was always a highly sexualized character.
She was based on
Wolfman hold them down because that's the whole bit.
Sexualize every character. All right, every character should be hot. This is comic books. These are the modern day Greek god myths.
Yes,
so every character, unless the character is a horrific villain or is ugly
or a child,
for a story reason, or a child, yes, they should. All of these.
Well, Ben Grimm's kind of sexy. He's got. Ben Grimm looks good.
That's different. Look, I'm sure there's some Ben Grimm freaks out there. All right, there's something for everybody, right?
Yeah, but the fact that you can't find the fact that Starfire absorbs languages through kissing. It's just that says more about you than it does me, because you're not going to get by me that one of the best bits in X-Men Teen Titans was when Starfire hears Colossus speaking Russian and she's like, oh, new language, and she kisses him, and then Nightcrawler's standing off to the side like, sprechen Sie Deutsch?
Yes.
Yeah, and to my thing point, John, remember that Transformers, the reason that it failed at IDW is because so many freaks wanted the Transformer robots to be banging each other constantly and doing all of the identity politics things. And now this Transformer is actually trans, and this Transformer is non-binary, and this Transformer, is gay. Those are robots. There's just, with maybe the exception of RC,
robots.
They're all very boxy. They're not generally designed to be sexy to the human eye, but people sexualize them anyway. So, comics should be sexy. I'm not saying go that far. Don't go with the shippers. Don't go to the freak show. But, these things should be appealing to people, and people want to read. When you go to a movie, you want to see attractive people on the screen. You don't want to see Bella Ramsey. You want to see, an attractive actress. You want to see a hot actor. That's, our standards of beauty are there for a reason. And that's not a, that's not a cultural thing. That's just a biological thing.
Yeah, because
it's worldwide. Everybody all over the world will tell you what a hot girl looks like. We all agree. Maybe we can't communicate with each other through languages and stuff like that. But when we see a beautiful woman, whether you're in whatever continent, we all that's it. Same with women. They all agree what a good-looking guy is, and we all know it. And then they're telling us that we're wrong, and that it causes this dissonance in the brain. And I'm done. Like, I haven't picked up a new Marvel or DC comic since 2015.
Yeah,
you know,
if they were right, my OnlyFans page would be getting a lot more hits than it's.
Yeah,
I got the badge that says I've been there for a year. So
I don't understand. I have a nice personality.
Yeah, you know, there's no OnlyFans for nice personalities, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, this guy's really pleasant.
Yeah,
It's like,
I have an Only Friends account where, you know, you tell me about the guy that you're really banging, you know, some hot girl.
listen, we all go to Paul Giamatti's OnlyFans because he's just such a great storyteller and he's got such a good personality.
They always say that, yeah, you know, girls, they just want a funny guy. You know, that's why Buddy Hackett was really banging his way through Hollywood, you know.
David Spade is the proof of that.
I mean, look, come on, people bang what's his name, Pete Davidson.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That I will never
But being funny can get you some place.
Wait, hold on.
But I thought we were talking about the X-Men. How did we get off on OnlyFans?
Pete Davidson.
Because we started
funny,
talking about
though.
sexiness in comics, and we said that led to an overall
I
discussion.
remember Liefeld talking about sexiness. He was talking about X-Men 97 and bringing in Scott Snyder and stuff.
You should know better than to leave. You can't go to the bathroom. We're like ducklings. We just start going off in different
I'm on
directions.
a P-break schedule, man.
Half of us fell down the grate, and now you need a worker to get us out. Like, you did this, Wes.
It's your
Very,
fault.
very
You weren't babysitting us.
Here's the thing. The creatives involved, none of them want to, they're not there to be in comics. They're there for a stepping stone. The editorial department, they're there either because they have no choice, because they can't get a better job, or because they really, really, really want to use it as a, you know, a cultural social engineering thing. There's nobody that wants to be there because they actually want to make great X-Men comics. The only person currently in that office involved whatsoever that seems genuinely interested in making a good X-Men comic is Joe Casey, and his book's already canceled.
Yeah. Because Tom Brevoort salted the earth before he even got there.
Yeah.
Not the smartest move in the world.
I
Waste
had
his title, and they released 3 very similar books, essentially all at the exact same time.
With the Wolverine, Deadpool, and the, what was the third one? The World War III?
Mm-hmm. There's another one. I can't remember the name of.
Yeah,
There's so many of them. There's a Wolverine, Deadpool like slash 'em up that's also out right now. I
Yeah.
think that's what it's called.
When Eve Ewing is going to have a longer run on a next book than Joe Casey,
The,
I mean,
the line's dead.
that is the problem. Yeah, the line is absolutely dead. It's worse off than Krakoa was.
And honestly, here's the thing. It doesn't necessarily even need to have been worse than Krakoa. Because I don't think creatively, I don't think that this is more insulting of an era than Krakoa.
Oh, no.
However, it's a worse performing era because it's kind of like we've talked about it before, the Star Wars movies and how they've driven the brand into the ground. And it's not the movie that's currently out or the show that's currently on that is going to bear the brunt of the damage that you've done. It's the one that follows this, because you can't unsee the movie you just saw and hated. You can't unread the comic or the comic that you just bought. You can't go in and get your money back. So it doesn't get punished. The book that fails, or the movie that fails, or the TV show that fails isn't the thing that gets punished. It's the next thing that follows it.
Yep.
That's
And
you're only as good as the last thing,
And they put themselves in this fucked up rock and hard place with the X-Men, especially with Krakoa. And this is, look, I mean, I liked what Jonathan Hickman was planning. He is, I think I hate Jonathan Hickman now for what he did to X-Men almost as much as I hate Grant Morrison for what he did to Wildstorm.
I will say Jonathan Hickman never follows through. I would never hire Jonathan Hickman. I think he's a great writer. He's probably a good guy, but read any of his stuff. Either he gets bored or he takes too long, and the sales and they get rid of him. But he's never finished anything he started.
Well, he finished Secret Wars.
Yeah, he did his Avengers run through Secret Wars.
But
he didn't finish Illuminati. He didn't finish his Fantastic Four. East to West. I just got so bored. I just stopped reading.
He definitely finished East to West.
But so
I finished before him.
Which
also happened on my.
That's what my girlfriend said too.
Perfect setup. I'm hoping.
But so
slam dunk.
But no, what he did as the result of the Krakoan era, even they put themselves between this rock and hard place where they ran off every X-Men reader with Krakoa. And even then, they had been running them off for a while. House of X, Powers of X was the thing that brought them back in. And that's why you started seeing this big kind of increase in interest and love and blah, blah, blah on the X-Men, because that was the thing where it was Marvel's promise to those X-Men readers that they had lost through the Bendis bullshit, the gay Iceman, the Colors era, all of the other nonsense that they had been doing for basically ever since House of X, Powers of X, or I'm sorry, AVX. After AVX, all the damage that they had done to the entire line, that it slowly kind of pushed the readers away, you got them back with House and Powers. And then you promptly bent them over and fucked them in the ass.
And then let's not get too hyperbolic here.
Well, I mean, you pulled the rug completely out from under them, and you turned the entire line.
So what do you think they should do? Well, I mean, what is the solution?
There is not a solution to X-Men anymore. There is one solution, and that is go write real X-Men books for about 8 years and earn the trust back. There is no simple solution that is going to get them back. The X-Men readers.
Them all and just have an Uncanny X-Men comic, maybe one, maybe two, three at most. Have a core team, like you said. Maybe have like an artist and a writer stay on it for 2 or 3 years. And slowly build up the trust. But Marvel won't do that. If there's a slight dip in 4 issues or 4 months, they're gone and they start all over again. Yeah. I think canceling and restarting the numbers was one of the worst mistakes they've ever done. I don't because maybe I'm a crazy person, but the average comic book person, I'm talking the guy who goes every Wednesday, buys their comics, devours their comics, goes into a Burger King parking lot because they can't even wait to get home, gets a burger and reads their comics on the way home. Those people, they want continuity. They want to know, like, did the Vanisher show up in this issue and show up in this issue? What was going on? They like connecting the dots. And Marvel threw all of that out the window for, look, this right now, this new thing. Okay, this new thing. And we disregard that. But we loved all the continuity. And now every time they restart the numbers, guys like me get a little disappointed. Every time DC rebooted, I'd stopped collecting more. Like, I lost interest because I'm like, I love the 60-year-old soap opera where everything fit together. Now it's just, who cares? I'm not going to invest my energy because it's just going to get rebooted in 4 years. That's the way I feel with these constant reboots. There's a new team every 3 months, but this is just going to get canceled. So who cares? And then this guy's going to have his take on it. That's different from this guy's take.
I think
everybody's a new character every 3 months.
X-Men is in a worse position than that because not only did they alienate the existing audience and rug pull them,
right?
The replacement audience, which is essentially broke gay commies,
right?
That just pirate it. That is their replacement audience. They can't have those two audiences simultaneously.
Absolutely. So there's nothing wrong with reaching out for new audiences. Stan Lee was reaching out for new audiences constantly, but Stan Lee was like, okay, this didn't work. It's time to pivot.
But he didn't have to do it in an era of social media. The company is in such weird position right now, and they are kind of holding on with dear life. They can't deal with the negative press from the hardcore activist types, and that's who their audience is.
Right.
So if
somebody
they
said something on Twitter and they think that's meanwhile it's the less than 1% of the fans, but that this one jerk is saying it over and over and over again, and then Marvel believes it.
Well, and not only that, but it's because it goes weirdly viral because of algorithms and whatnot. They're in a position where they either have to go away from it and deal with the negative PR, which they won't do, or stick with, and doing that, they have to maintain consistency and quality over an extended period of time and slowly regain their credibility in the marketplace, which their parent company will not allow right now.
So
their solution is to keep doing the exact same shit that they've been doing for the last 10 years. They're because all the people in charge are like 5 years from fucking retirement. All they have to do is get 5 more years out of this shit show, this managed decline, and then fuck it. What do I care? I'm retired.
I think the decline
is the money in it. That's all. I don't see them. I don't hear from what you guys are describing. I don't hear the money in that.
There is no money.
Yeah, I don't. So to me, that defies the physics of business. Is that I would continue to do something that does not make me money, that does not grow me something. I haven't heard by me answering to this 1% of the social media audience, how does that translate into dollars?
Because one is the other there's 2 choices here right now. You could keep going for the quick money and with another reboot, a new number 1, an increased number of variants that'll get a short, cheap pop, and then the slow acceleration of that cycle, which they've been on. We've gone from hundreds of issues down to maybe 100 issues to 50 issues to 20 issues to 15 issues to 12 issues. So the rate at which this is occurring is increasing, while the effect that repeating that cycle is having a decreased efficiency. You're only getting, you used to have 150,000, then it went down to 100, now it's 60, now it's 50, 30, 20, 15,000. So they have to increase the rate and the frequency to get a lower result. But the alternative is running it as a loss leader for a long period of time, which is good for business, terrible for corporatism. And this is a corporate company now. It's not a business. It is corporatism. They only care about their quarter over quarter or year over year returns.
I have a conspiracy theory because I'm a conspiracy theory guy. Like, Sana Amanat went into Marvel Comics. She came out of nowhere. She has connections to the Clintons and the Obama and everything like that. And now this USAID is getting dismantled by Doge and Trump, and the money's going away. I can't help but think, is Marvel propped up by this Doge money, or USAID money? And now that USAID is basically gone, do you think now that they're going to be like, oh, we actually have to respond to sales now because we were being flooded on?
It really would explain a lot.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
I say it would explain a lot.
Okay.
It would explain the publishing strategy a lot.
Right. Now they'll just like, what, just Trump, Doge, quick. What is Cyclops' powers again? This matters again. Is his I-beams hot? We got Gail Simone.
No, his I-beams reveal the soul. That's what his I-beams do now.
I personally don't think so. I don't think that there's probably a little bit of money going there.
The only thing that makes sense to my crazy brain, because how can you run a business so long that's just losing money and chasing away customers?
There's no indications that Marvel's actually losing money. They're just
they're making less and less. They're still profitable. They are very much still profitable because they've managed to game the system. There's a couple of ways you can make a lot of money in comics, and a lot of it has to do with consistency and quality. They don't have that. So they've gone for essentially the cheap pops, the Relaunches make a lot of money. Variants make a lot of money. Price increases make a lot of money. So what they've done is every time they lose some audience, they pull one of these things as an offset, because it offsets the 100,000 readers at $1 a piece. Equals this much money. But if you keep, you lost 10,000 people, raise the price by a quarter.
Yeah. So
now it's still the same amount of money, or a little bit more.
Yeah, I was making this same argument with some guy over at Comic Pals over the site in the chat. It's the same thing about, is there momentum in the industry? And I'm like, I'm not falling for this one again. It's like, guys, just because you figure out a way to artificially increase sales doesn't mean there's growth in the industry happening. No. Jim C. Lee said this years ago. They were papering over losing readers with rising cover prices.
Yes.
Like, guys, to your point, Doc, you're selling more product to an increasingly shrinking audience. You want to know why it's going up 20%? It's going up 20% because Gervain, who's been around here for 30 years, added 10 to 15 books to his pull list that he was just buying month to month before. That's not growth. That's just a sales pop. That's it. You're not.
Well, also, to back up what Gervain's saying, there's actually a lot more interesting evidence to that. Because if you look at the sales, and they do everything in dollars, they never do it in units, right? Units would be the way to really measure the healthy industry. Everything's in dollars, and it's kind of like flat. But if you look in the time that it's flat, the average price of a comic book has gone up, I think, like 13% or something like that. But also the amount of variant covers that they're doing, so you're basically selling comic books at a higher price to get the same price point, but also you're selling more variant covers, so you're selling the same exact book to the same person multiple times, which really shows you the audience has actually decreased quite a bit, but it doesn't show up in that dollars number because they are able to kind of paper it over by selling collectors on the same book.
And you want to know the first examples of one of these was back in the 90s, roughly, I believe it was, when DC first started kind of beating Marvel, despite the whole new DC in 86, was Elseworlds. That's why DC started beating Marvel, because they were selling books at a significantly higher cover price, and in terms of dollars, they were beating Marvel. But in terms of actual units sold, Marvel was beating the pants off of them.
And you had the same thing with even Image when Image came online and versus DC. One of the reasons why Image almost became, for a short period of time, knocked DC out of the number 2 spot. Their books were $1.95 and DC's were $1.25.
Also, if you look at all the best-selling lists, like the rankings that you get from ICV2.com, which is really interesting, Gervain, all the books like in the top 20 are $5 or more.
Exactly.
So it's likely an even bigger decrease in actual unit sales because they're making up for it by charging you extra for Spider-Man and Batman.
Yeah, and like so someone, a good friend of mine, Matt Ward, said, he's like, I'm looking at some of this stuff that you're talking about on social media and some of these books that you're buying. It's like, look here, bro. I went to the, normally I do not do pull lists. I hadn't done pull lists in probably about 10 years at this point. The only reason I went to the pull list was because and what's going on the new books is because to get that 20% discount, bro. So I could keep the $4. Other than that, if I hadn't made that move over the last 2 years, and I wasn't from a product thing interested in Skybound and all and the Energon universe and all that, you would not be seeing this 20% year over year. You're seeing the 20% year over year for 2 reasons. One,
that was bullshit, Gervain. That 20% increase is a 20% sell-through rate increase, meaning
so
the sell-through was better. They could have ordered less, and the sell-through rate could have went up.
Okay, yeah, I hear you on that one. But the reason why this is also still, I'm still arguing it's a pop, is the minute a creative team or the minute any of those guys drop it on the product part of this, you watch those numbers go right back down again. Right back down again. The minute they decide to cheap out on the artist or cheap out on whatever it is, watch it go right back down again. Because while all this is going on, you have the same guys buying more books. You are not necessarily bringing more people in. You're not necessarily selling these books at more places.
Do you guys think with Diamond? Do you think what's going to go on with Diamond? Has that been resolved yet?
Nope.
No, that just all
got screwed up. Yeah, the winning bidder just backed out and Doesn't want
So,
to
I
buy
mean-
it anymore.
The winning
Can you give a
bidder
reason why?
that offered the most money that Diamond then tried to screw and go to somebody who offered less money because it was more advantageous for them, probably more bonuses. You know, Steve Jeppy probably walked away with a bigger piece of the pie from those other guys. Then they sued Diamond. They sued Diamond for, I think like breach of contract or, and won, but now have walked away from the deal. So who knows what's going on?
All right, well,
all
let's
this-
hear for the peoples. Everyone's trying to get on this. I'm so sorry, Jeff. What were you saying?
All I was going to say is when we talk about turning around comic books, I think it's this. All of this has come at the worst time when we had the biggest boom with these damn movies that, opinions aside, they were making billions of dollars. Why didn't Marvel use that popularity to feed this, to get more people just reading the art form? Because like even Free Comic Book Day has slowed down. My local shops, they don't hire. They used to bring in local guys from Marvel that were, a couple 100 miles away, or they'd bring in like, what's his face, Tony Moore from The Walking Dead. Like they'd get names, and you go to these stores and it would like have lines of people. They'd want their free books. They'd buy stuff. I don't see that much. And this is even after the pandemic and they tried to bring stuff back. People just aren't showing up to these stores.
I
And
don't
think-
know why during Endgame and Infinity Wars, during the height of the MCU, when you walked into a movie theater, there should have been a cardboard stand selling comic books.
Agreed. If DC's smart, they'll pull one of those out of a dollar store that they got and throw them across movie theaters in America this summer for Superman. Because this is it. Like, I know it sounds hyperbolic, but they can't keep doing Superman over and over.
Right.
A certain generation likes them, and then they're dead, and it's it.
I remember. Am I crazy, Aaron? Do you remember? I'm assuming you're younger than me, but do you remember when Batman, the Tim Burton Batmans, you went in and they had a Batman comic book, like a movie tie-in comic book in the movie theater that you could buy.
Exactly right. Yeah.
And inside they had like
I don't remember that.
catalogs of DC and stuff like that.
My theater definitely did. My theater was definitely selling the DC book.
and I'm not a smart person. How come I can think of that? Who
All right.
Why is there, when they do the flipping
Hold on,
pages at the
fellas.
beginning, why is there?
We do need to get to the people because the people have a lot of things that they want to
Okay.
talk about this Marvel stuff. Rate that 7. The best way to fix X-Men and Marvel in general is to selectively retcon, ignore, and never mention again any past stories that have damaged the characters without an in-comics explanation. So what he's suggesting there, Aaron, is a DC-style Crisis reboot.
I don't even think, well, I mean, I've always said I would just take, I would take the Marvel Universe back to the end of Hickman's Secret Wars and continue on from there. And everything that happened since then, I would wipe out entirely. If there's anything worth salvaging, we can tell it in a better version of the story in the new continuity that we go forward with.
I have a solution. I've been talking about how to fix Marvel because I'm of the opinion. Did you see the movie Misery? Remember
I love
when, like she's like, he's like, all right, I'll start the book, and then Misery he goes, no, she was in the coffin, she was in the ground. You got to start from there. You can't change it. I'm that kind of continuity person. We have to address all these bad stories and work in it. I mean, we got wizards, we got aliens, we got we could fix this. I mean, I have a story that would fix all of Marvel involving mad bombs from Jack Kirby's run on Captain America back in the late 70s. We could do it. But the problem is they don't have any creative people that love comic books and know the lore. There's millions of stories that they could, and all of a sudden the X-Men could go like, have we been like mutant supremacists for a while? And then Bobby Grace just like, did you guys turn me gay? Which one of you turned Gene? Was that you? Was that
You don't even have to be that complicated. You could do it simply because if you wanted to, if you want to tell a bigger, larger story that ran for a while, I think your idea is solid. But if you just wanted to get it done quickly, you just say that everything that happened after Secret Wars isn't the 616. It's a different universe that was shunted off after the events of that by a rogue, by a rogue Beyonder that and you make the Beyonder, and I would actually make the Beyonder a little bit meta. I would make the Beyonder a weird, like the weirdos that are writing comics nowadays.
He would have a mustache like Tom Brevoort.
No, I would. That Brevoort doesn't. Does Brevoort have a mustache, or are you thinking of Jordan
He's
White?
got a beard.
He's got a beard. Yeah, I think if if you want wacky mustaches and my little dip-de-doo curly hair, and I'm on a unicycle juggling and playing a ukulele. That's Jordan White. But you just do a rogue non-binary Beyonder that wants to reshape the universe in their image, and that's what everything has been since Secret Wars. And then
they
bring back the Daily Universe.
to change it.
You're just making an allegory for all the cultural locusts that have come in and started ruining comics.
HH the boys from Sigma Comics. Shout out to Thinking Critical from Super Jersey Comic Expo. Calico Mortality Play hits Kickstarter next week. Give it a shot. And great news, we're making a spot available for TCM at our booth at Dallas Fan Expo. That is going to be awesome. I think we're going to be hanging out a little bit there. And I will tell people this. I have had a sneak peek at Calico Mortality play. And it definitely takes the character in a new direction I think a lot of people are going to love. Definitely be checking out HH the boys at Sigma Comics at your local con. Very excited to see him down there in Dallas, Texas. And we'll definitely be getting the word out about the Kickstarter kicking off next week here. Wraith X7. Marvel needs to fire most of their current editors and hire veteran older creators as the new editorial staff and allow them to work from home.
No, there's definitely guys, and there's a lot of comic book people in the industry that need help, that could use the paycheck, that, you know, have a much better pedigree than the people that are currently at Marvel.
Which always blows my mind, because there's so many people that are like you see them at the cons, and you're like, hey, why aren't you working at Marvel? They don't call me. Like, that's the answers you get. It's stupid.
Louise Simonson should be in charge of the X-Men line as a group editor. Walt should be in charge of the Avengers line as the X-Men editor. Bring in J.M. Matias, letting me in charge of the fucking Spider-Man line.
Yeah.
And that would fix a lot of these problems.
I had Walt Simonson on my channel, and I directly asked him. I said, you know, and he said out of his own mouth that Marvel told him that nobody's interested in old style artwork anymore.
Bullshit.
Old style artwork. Go read Ragnarok and tell me that's old style artwork.
I know.
It's amazing.
I'm starting to think that maybe Aaron is right. Maybe there is a gay transgender binary beyond her controlling everything, because that makes more sense than my theory.
The Hadron Super
They
Collider.
have said it publicly. This is what they had planned to do. There's plenty in print, plenty of video where they've said this is what they were going to do.
What about the anime influence when they talk about that art? Because that's an asinine comment. Like, even Joe Quesada, he's like, I'd never hire John Buscema based on modern stuff. You think they're really desperate? Because I don't even like anime and manga like most people do, but that stuff makes so much money. And it's almost embarrassing that you have more recognizable characters around the world as Marvel, but your stuff makes a fraction. And we're just talking print. That's before merchandising and video games and movies and all that good stuff.
You've lost the kids, you know, you've got no growth. And that used to be what fueled comics. It's like, yeah, you had older guys that were buying, but when did they get in? They got in when they were kids. And they just kept going with it. And then they introduced it to their kids. And then those kids introduced it to their friends. And they could go to the liquor store. They could go to the, you know, the corner store. And there was a comic spinner rack.
Oh, I remember hanging out at the liquor store reading X-Men. Those were the days, Aaron.
Yeah, no, I would love. Listen, I don't know where you grew up, but like, man, there was a lot of liquor stores where I was, but they all had comic books right in the front.
But you're right.
You know, or you'd go to 7-Eleven, to Circle K, whatever your regional convenience store was.
I remember my mom used to send me to the drugstore. You know, go get me a pack of cigarettes. It was $1.75 at the time, so I'd go in, hand the guy $2. The guy would hand me a quarter change, and I would pick up a comic book. I used to be like, Ma, you feel like smoking today? Because that meant I got a comic book.
But in anime and manga, you see a lot more playing to the power fantasy that a lot of boys are into than you see in Western comics today. I'm sorry, that's all Dragon Ball Z is. That's all of it is about.
Absolutely, you're 100% right.
It's power fantasy and sexualization, and that's what most modern North American stuff from Marvel and DC they don't do. They try to run away from or play off against as much as possible. It's like they get it. The anime manga, they get it. We don't. And that's why they're beating us.
Kaiser Jose wants to know, when was the last time X-Men was great? Aaron Sparrow?
DOX.
Pox and Pox? But that was such a short period. It wasn't really an X-Men line.
That was an island. That was an island within a sea of suck that we'd had for a long time. I don't know. I'd throw this more to Doc because I kind of got out. I'm trying to think of what issue, like maybe it was around issue like 400, where I just kind of like, for me, like Morrison's run. No, I liked Whedon's stuff for a while. Morrison's run really kind of broke me, and then, like the aftermath, I started to fall off here and there. So when after Morrison's run, when everybody was kind of like trying to pick up the pieces and put the X-Men back together from what he did, that's where I kind of started to fall off. So I think there's like some Joe Kelly stuff that like I was picking up, but I wasn't really reading it. And, I just kind of like slowly got out of it. So I would say that for me, just right before Morrison's run is where the X-Men stopped being great or stopped telling stories that I liked.
All right, Doc, you got 2 minutes. Give us the answer.
I think Morrison was the end of X-Men because it was just somebody to come in and play a greatest hits album. It should have been, that's the end. I'm sorry, when you're playing greatest hits, that's you're done. Everything after that isn't really storytelling. They did recover for a very short period of time with Mike Carey, Craig Kyle, Chris Yost. I feel like there was one other creative on there during the Messiah trilogy, because Endangered Species was good, Messiah Complex was good, Messiah War was good. Remender kind of came in and did some really good stuff on Uncanny X-Force.
Yeah.
But then you hit AVX. AVX, it has not been good for more than, you haven't gotten more than maybe like 4 or 5 continuous issues.
That was the end of my
good
X-Men
comics since then.
It got to be I had to collect 30 issues of X-Men comics to get a mediocre story. And, once you do the math as an adult and you're paying your mortgage and you're paying all your taxes, and you're like, I just paid $360 and this story wasn't even that good.
Well, yeah, so I'd say other than the Messiah trilogy and a handful of smattering individual issues and then House and Powers, everything from Morrison after Morrison should be gone.
Federico de la Casa. I know every location in the Marvel universe, and knowing that actual editors do not know upsets me. They do not care. Why should I? Give me something to care about.
Can I say something about this?
Absolutely.
Around 2010, I was the electrician at Marvel Comics. If anybody knows your boy Zach, he would say, I have an insider who's the electrician at Marvel Comics. That was me. So I was literally on a ladder in the middle of an editorial meeting. So that all these Marvel editors are in the circle. I'm in a ladder doing the splices because their outlets kept blowing out. So I was listening to them. They were trying to come up with an event. And one of them was like, we should use the Inhumans. And the other guy goes, yeah, the Inhumans. Remember from the old Avengers comics? And the other guy's like, yeah. Stan Lee created them in the Avengers. And they were like all patting each other. And I'm on the ladder going, they came in the Marvel. It was Fantastic Four, you guys. and I really wanted to just get off the ladder and be like, they debuted Jack Kirby. It was in the Fantastic Four in the 40s and around 1967. That not the Avengers. You mix them up. You have no business doing. But all I could think of was my boss would fire me. So I just shut my mouth, made the splices. Oh my God, it was the angriest splice I've ever made in my life. Folded up my ladder and walked away. And then I told my partner. My partner goes, I don't care. Let's go to the next job.
I know about a meeting where the creativity was on display, and it actually ended up getting 2 people from Marvel cut out because Bendis decided at that meeting he didn't like them because they opposed his great idea in the meeting of what if Dr. Doom was a robot? And they said, well, you mean like Doombots? And he said, no, he's been a robot the whole time. That was his big idea. That was Bendis actually pitched that. And then a couple of other big writers at Marvel at the time pushed back on why that was stupid. And then they were marked by Bendis. Bendis never forgave him.
That holds up my theory that Bendis just wants to sabotage everything else. You just gave me some more ammunition for my conspiracy theory. He wants to bolster up his own products at the expense of everybody else.
I know 2 people that were in that meeting that confirmed that story.
Galb says, plus the head of the office was that
retard
that Jordan White file.
Oh, he's the one with the curly mustache, right?
Yeah.
So I can say retard in the chat, but nobody else can? Is it because I'm a mod?
I have no idea.
I'm going to check our settings.
I can say it right here. He's a retard.
He's not ideal when it comes to
look at me, I'm the X-Men editor.
Not ideal as your senior editor / group editor. That was not a good idea. Federico de la Casa, working in small publishing, I can assure you, at least here, that when we propose what to do with female artists, they always choose the sexy XXX rated portfolio stuff.
Damn right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, some of the sexiest, some of the artists that do the sexiest stuff in comics right now are women.
And
it's
it's funny.
Connor draws the sexiest women. She made up Super Pro, who is a prostitute superhero. Yeah.
She stole that name again.
No, it was just
the NFL.
No, it was just the pro. The pro.
Oh, the pro. I was like,
the pro.
oh
Yeah.
shit, he's back. No, I've noticed too, like when I'm working cons, I sell an art book with sexy women. Women buy it. They get excited. Guys are afraid to look at it, and they're afraid that their wives will get pissed. But I have women come up, look at the book, they buy it, they want to talk about this stuff. It's like Marvel is trying to protect an audience that doesn't need to be protected. And I've been saying this on the channel for close to a decade.
They don't want to be protected.
No, there's no reason to. These people aren't the moral authority on shit. Excuse my language, but they have no bearing on anything.
My comic book heroic tales, the few girls that actually read it said there was no sexy women for me to cosplay as. I said, well, pick up issue 2. I'll change that in a heartbeat if it gets more. You know what I mean? But
attention and
girls
validation.
like sexy women.
Well, I'm terrible. I didn't even put women in my 2 graphic novels, but I guess I'll tackle that next time.
No, Renzo actually got on my case because so far the only sexy woman he's had to draw in Kneel Before Doomface is Lexi, and he's like, we need, and there's a couple of like little cameo appearances of other superheroes, but that he got to draw sexy, but he's like, we need more. So actually, I'm adding 8 pages to Kneel Before Doomface 2 to push forward, introducing 2 other characters, so he has 2 other women to draw.
Here's something I've found. Men like their, let's just say, smut far more realistic. Women like it very creative. So either in prose or drawn.
I agree with that. I've made a lot of friends that I talk all this stuff about with, so I'm with you, Doc.
Yeah, so they like sexy drawings because that's where their smut comes from.
Federico then says, I think that Marvel risk of ending publishing comic books, they either change staff mentality and reset comics with the crisis-like event, or they're done. Well, eventually they will have to stop. Every issue can't be a number 1, and that's like,
you think.
That's where we're headed. Doc's right.
The funny thing is, Gru the Wanderer has been that was a running joke in Gru the Wanderer back in the 80s. Like, oh, is this issue number 1 again? Is this issue number 1 again? No, we're continuing the numbers. And Sergio Aragonés to go, no, let's make it number 1. Every issue's number 1. They sell better. That's been so now. That was 40 years ago, and that was the joke. Enough's enough. Let's continue.
I do think Marvel can destroy themselves eventually. But I think in the process, they're going to destroy far more small publishers that are emulating them because they're the market leader and finding out that they can't certainly take that much risk. You know what
I think you'll see exactly what Wes is talking about, and they're going to want to eventually switch to a licensing model.
Yep.
But they're going to realize that there's nobody left to license their product to. That is still in the comic space, and at the prices they're going to ask, there's not going to be anybody willing to take that bet. The only time Marvel has ever worked doing that is when they do it the other way. The only time comics for any long period of time has ever worked with a quote unquote licensing model is when the company is paying somebody else to produce their comics for them, not the other way around.
Koichi says, OG Marvel is gone. It's basically modern Disney-fied.
Yep.
I don't think we're coming back either.
Remember, the Submariner is in public domain now, so you guys can make your own Submariner comics.
Ooh.
Oh, please don't.
I wasn't gonna.
Submariner, 7 Horrors of the Deep. No.
I'm gonna put him in Kneel Before Doomface.
And the original is the Torch.
Galb says, on Sana Amanat, she got into comics through her cousin who works in Hollywood and allegations of other stuff. So actually, she was working for a comic book company that got shut down.
Virgin.
And Marvel hired her from there. I'm not sure about her cousin or whatever. But she hasn't been in comic books for a
Hollywood producer.
She's been out for years.
She's politically connected, but like her whole goal in getting into Marvel was to get into the film side. And now she is in the film side.
Yeah,
so she's drawn an even bigger check.
And but you know what?
People who say Virgin was a comic book company, but go ahead.
They should her character, Kamala Khan, she should be in more comics. And when she's not in comics, like Reed Richards should be going, what's Kamala Khan thinking about?
Poochie!
Yeah, Spider-Man's be like, oh man, I wish Kamala was here so someone
Right.
could save the day.
Willie Lumpkin shows up to deliver the mail. Is Kamala Khan? Is this her address? You know?
I like that in Daredevil Born Again, we had to keep hearing Kamala's name.
Yeah.
My daughter Kamala, my daughter Kamala, my daughter Kamala. She's so great. Kamala, you will like Kamala. Kamala Khan. Everybody in the audience, Kamala Khan, Kamala Khan, Kamala Khan.
Did that really happen in that show? Because
Yes.
I gave up after the first episode.
Yes, it
They
did.
gave up after 3.5.
I didn't watch it at all because I knew it was going to be. It was going to be, 4 or 5 excellent episodes, and then I was going to get a lecture about being transgender or something like that.
The
But I'll wait till it's over.
the Kamala things, they only lasted for 3 episodes. One where that happened like 15 times, and the next 2 were like 2 times. And then her dad wasn't there for the last 2 or 3 episodes, so fuck her.
Didn't
But he
that guy,
says,
didn't that guy get busted like texting underage girls?
Yeah,
too?
he went to
Wasn't-
prison.
The actor?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Oh, the actor. I thought you were talking about the ominous cousin.
No idea. Gallup says if Tom Report was homeless, his begging sign would say, "Don't give me money."
Yes.
I said to him, I said, he congratulated himself because I've been with Marvel Comics for 35 years. And I said, congratulations, you've been presiding over the decline of quality of comics your entire career. And he says, sorry, John, I'm sorry comics weren't as good as they are when you were 10 years old. And I said, that's a self-own. I mean, if you don't want your comics to be as good as the Byrne Claremont X-Men, or the Legion Great Darkness saga, I said, then what are you in this business?
That's a choice.
Yeah.
How can you, in any kind of objective sense, look at the comics from 20 years ago and compare them to the comics today and say the comics today are just as interesting and just as compelling and just as good as what we had before? There is no objective way that you can do that.
I have an answer for that. They don't know those comics. They don't read those comics. They don't care about those comics. We got college professors now saying that we shouldn't have textbooks or read any books before 1970.
Your response to Tom Brevoort should have been, "I'm sorry, you're old and fat and sad. You're old and fat and sad, and you gave up."
He's also satin fad.
Sad and fat.
Carlitos Figueroa, Marvel should embrace a storytelling style like that of Chris Claremont, Grant Morrison, Joss Whedon, or Hickman, focusing on attention-grabbing concepts and gaining stories for the X-Men.
But it didn't always have to be with Claremont, and it didn't always have to be attention grabbing. Like I would enjoy an issue where the X-Men went to the mall,
right,
just as much as I enjoyed anything else that he
because
did.
Each
because
character
he wrote compelling
each
characters.
Character had their own voice. Like how many times was it just them in the backyard playing baseball, and we freaking loved that comic?
Here's the thing. Grant Morrison and Joss Whedon were just stealing other people's stuff. Because all of Whedon was literally repurposed versions of actually Joe Kelly and Steve Siegel era comics. Grant was nothing but Chris Claremont's greatest hits by a decent cover band. Jonathan Hickman tried something, but then just got bored. They don't need attention-grabbing concepts. They need Chris Claremont's good, interesting, and constantly introducing something in the background that will eventually become important down the line. And by the time that thing's important, 4 new things have been introduced in the background.
Right, an A story, a B story, a C story, and time enough to let them develop on their own.
Yes.
Nowadays, you can't have a B story when you know your comic's going to get canceled after 5 issues, or the whole team is going to get swapped out because Marvel has, there was a slight dip in sales. You're out. Wes, you're writing now. Wes, you're out. Aaron's writing now.
Plus, everything's written for the trade, so you can't have B and C elements that aren't going to be wrapped up in that trade.
Right.
Because all the story needs to be self-contained in 4 issues.
Unless you're Ram V and then you write for the omnibus and it needs to be wrapped up in 48 issues and it still doesn't get there.
His New Gods is pretty fucking good though, man. That's a good one.
Everything I've ever read for him, I could skip 10 issues, come back and realize that I didn't miss anything.
I read his Swamp Thing. It was pretty good. That's it. That's all I've ever read.
I like the Future State Swamp Thing stuff a lot. But they need something. Get back to the classics. Mr. DC Comics. Most people only acknowledge X-Men 97 as the definitive version of the team. Nobody knows anything about the new stuff they're doing now.
Is that necessarily a terrible idea to focus on the most popular version of the X-Men and make that the core team?
Do you care about Max Visagio's self-insert X-Men character?
Hell no.
Yeah, there's too many X-Men.
I agree.
Do you remember when Mags got rejected with his great idea to turn Superboy trans? Yeah, and to do Connie Kent, which actually I didn't think Skyrocket was a bad name, but just the whole concept, and it was just basically a Mag self-insert, and obviously got poor what's his name to draw, Connor Kent as Mags.
Derek Robertson.
Yeah, and
oh no.
And I said I commented on it, and I just said, like, what a terrible what a terrible thing this was, like just a terrible pitch, and Mags' response was comic characters are ideas. And I wrote back, you should try having more than one.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the only thing that Mags, because it's you've got this group, and it's not entirely these people's fault. These people are highly autistic, and they get focused on one thing. So Mags is focused on one thing, and that's like trans issues. So the only stories that Mags really has any passion for are stories that involve that. But you got to have more than that. That's like, we can't have an industry of people that, are highly autistic that have one idea and want to just keep spamming that out over and over and over again.
You can't blame a puppy for peeing on the floor. You know what I mean? That's what the puppy does. So I don't blame Mags for doing that stuff because Mags is a puppy. I blame the editors that hiring this person to do the same stuff that doesn't work. If you got a trans story, all right, go get Mags. I mean, I wouldn't hire this person to write a laundry list for me. You know what I mean? But and also, Mags doesn't know DC history because there already is a Skyrocket who is the leader of the Power Company by Kurt Busiek.
Also, when the puppy pees on the floor and you rub its nose in it, it doesn't do it again. Well,
that's just it. Nobody rubs Mags' nose in it. We congratulate them. And then when they leave, we go, phew, now
well, the audience rubs Mag's nose in it. But...
Right, but then all the peer groups go, they're just Nazis. Have you seen them? They probably voted for Trump.
Instead of be honored, they should use Mephisto into the Spider-Man deal, as it not only affected him, but also the entire universe itself, Sparrow.
Yes. That's not Spider-Man.
That's not bad, but I'm hesitant to give Mephisto that level of power. I don't think Mephisto should have had the power to undo the marriage. I think that's ridiculous. I think that's
he did it with permission from one of the people. So now Spider-Man as the everyman, like a vampire can't come in the house without permission. Mephisto can't do grand works without permission. And Spider-Man, being the everyman of the Marvel Universe, gave the everyman permission to change the world. I think it's kind of brilliant. Good job, Carlos.
No, that's a great place to to go out from. Like, here is the moment that the Marvel Universe itself was corrupted and became something different than it was meant to be.
The more I think about it, that Carlos, $5, that was the best $5 you ever spent. That was awesome.
Definitely do it. And finally, Caleb says, I'm autistic, but I don't have what Mags has.
Thank God.
Stuff I want to tell in stories, and some of those people are self-proclaimed.
Well,
blaming everything on like autism is like a weird thing these days. I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's
their own actions.
It's different levels. I mean, it's different. There's obviously different. It's a wide range of how how prevalent it is. It's been suggested to me that I might have a touch of autism just because of the things that I fixate on, like the fact that I can quote movies and comic books and things like that to a T after reading them once. I may have some touch of it.
That's a superpower.
But that's why the Predator wanted it.
Yes. Damn it, you beat me to it.
So there's definitely different different levels of it. But
when I was a kid, I used to sit and rock back and forth, and like if I had a shirt that had a tag on it, I would freak out. I would literally like paralyze, and I couldn't move until somebody ripped the tag off. You know what I mean? I would read the sentence over and over again, and things like. But my dad beat me, and I became a normal person.
So it's like that South Park, how to solve ADHD, where the kids are like, and the guy goes over.
Can you imagine if my dad
slaps him?
If my dad rewarded that behavior or encouraged that, who knows how bad I would have become?
This
But
is
you
why we
beat
need
me,
to start
I-
shoving nerds in lockers again.
Right? Yeah, a little bit of bullying never hurt nobody.
A
Shame
lot
is
of
a good
good
thing.
bullying help people.
Well, very nice. Really appreciate that one, Callum. We do need to, before we end this, we do need to thank once again. Shout out to Drew and the team at TCM Press for sponsoring this week's Comics Aficionados coming this summer. Unholy Nightmare #2 is on its way, and trust me, this series is not pulling punches. The Recluse and Jenny are back, and this time they're on the run. Hunted by the Chicago PD and the RA drug cartel, all while chasing down a mysterious figure who may hold the key to why they're different. But will they survive long enough to get answers? And are they ready for what those answers might be? Brought to you by creators Dolan Waddick, A.K. Drew, and Aurelio Mazzara, and edited by our very own Aaron Sparrow. Unholy Nightmare #2 is action-packed, bloody, and full of dark, supernatural twists we love. Sign up now to get notified the second the Kickstarter goes live at kickstarter.com/projects/mutant-farm/unholy-nightmare-2. Don't sleep on this one. If you miss out, you'll be the only one not in on the nightmare.
You know,
And if you don't actually type that all out, and if you just go to the link, I say you're a sissy. I typed it out for the video. I recorded the screen thing and everything
hey,
because I have heart.
You
Wes.
rattled it off.
Wes, you need to have Drew just get a QR code that
Basically,
goes right there.
yeah, right there.
Like generate a QR code that goes right to there.
You're
and
gonna
put
have to
that-
talk to Drew about this.
There
I
is
do
a QR
what
code.
I
Why did you
can.
not send that to you?
have no idea what QR code you're talking about. If he given it to me, I would have put it up instead of typing it out. But yeah, go and get signed up. You don't want to miss out on Unholy Night #2. Not only do you get Drew, you get Aurelio Mazzara, but you also get to support Aaron Sparrow in the process. Everyone loves Aaron.
Yeah, I get paid for this stuff.
We do have a couple of quick
Wait, you get paid?
super chat.
Yeah, I get
Mr.
paid.
DC Comics, great week for DC. Superman 25 was my favorite. Seeing Superman, Lois, and Lex versus clones. Super Lex was epic. Lois and Lex didn't hold nothing back. Epic battle. I agree with you. That was a fantastic comic book. It's probably my pick of the week. But DC had a fantastic week between Superman, Green Lantern, and what was the other big one? Absolute Wonder Woman. Yes.
Drew just sent me the QR code.
Oh, he's listening.
I'm sorry, Drew. I can't get it in the video this week, but I will get it next time. I'm sorry about that, buddy. I had no idea about your QR code. And Calvin says, I still have mixed feelings about that Predator movie, but I enjoy the gore and fights.
Which
You must be
Predator
talking
movie?
about the Predator with the autistic kid.
And,
Yeah, that
and
was-
I love. The
I have no
Predator
mixed feelings.
dog.
I hate that movie.
I love the Predator dog that they shot in the back of the head, and then it became their puppy that just wandered around with them for
Yeah.
the rest of the movie.
There's so much in that movie that is just like laughable and not intentionally laughable. I do like some of the cast. There's bits in that movie that I like, but overall it is god awful, and it's the
Was-
worst Predator film of
Was
all time.
that the one that Shane Black did, or did he do the
Yes.
one where
Shane Black.
Eric Foreman was a serial killer?
Shane
No,
Black.
that was
Shane
Robert
Rodriguez.
Rodriguez, and that I think is an underrated Predator movie.
That one,
Cool.
it explains where Eric went to, where he claimed he was in Africa for those 2 seasons of that 70s show, but we know where he really was.
So when Proby says you go to a Comic-Con and you're forced to wait in line for hours for one of the following editors, Nick Lowe, Tom Brevoort, or Jordan White, to sign your comic, who do you choose?
The
Why did-
meteor.
I would never be in a line for any
Yeah.
of those people.
I don't really do autographs, but
Why do you
I'm
want
from
an
Raiders.
editor's autograph?
I would choose
I
sweet,
want Aaron's
sweet
autograph.
death.
Death.
uh,
Yep. Death.
You know, here's the thing though. If you come to
Lady
get
Death.
if you get my autograph as an editor on a book, you know that I actually did work on that book. You know, there's actually some of me in that book. Whereas, with these guys, I don't even know that they.
I
check
think you
anything
got to
about
go with Jordan White because you're probably going to get a song and dance out of it. He'd probably bust out the ukulele, play a little island tune.
I would ask Nick
You
Lowe and ask him if he's the Nick Lowe who produced records in the 80s with Rockpile. You know,
Like, Nick Lowe, why do you hate Spider-Man? And that probably wouldn't be fun. There are no winners in that one, probably.
I
Why
would
wasn't
have.
it
I
Turkish
would. You know what? No, I would pick Nick Lowe because I'd want to go to find out whether or not it was his wife or if it was Zeb Wells' wife that was fucking another
man.
dude named.
Yeah.
Do you want me
Doc
to
ruins everything.
Can I just put the QR code up on screen? Will that work for people? Can they just scan it off of my phone?
It
I have
will.
no idea.
I think
I don't
if
think
You want me to do this?
Aaron screen is the singular one.
You're
Oh
gonna
no!
have to-
Now it's
Yep, it works.
It works.
There you go.
Okay,
There's a
guys.
QR code.
You got 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There you go.
I'm there.
All right. Let's talk about some comic book recommendations so we can finish this clusterfuck of a comic book live stream. We did have Jeff Hicks from World Class Bullshitters, and I do want to say thank you very much to Jeff for not showing his face. I wanted to be the pretty one on the show, and I think I held it up.
Yeah, you know, I've noticed that since my webcam broke, things have gone upwards a lot. So, folks, I hope you enjoy this drawing of my face that I did, because at least I did the drawing, so it is a representation of me by me. But to answer the question I think you're going to ask, I haven't read anything new. What did I read?
It doesn't matter. If you want to recommend Spider-Man 1, do it.
I'm going to recommend The Amazing Spider-Man, what is it, number 7 with the lizard? Because I bought myself
Can't
this,
go wrong.
like I mentioned at the beginning of the show. Oh, 6, sorry. This Toshin tabletop giant Spider-Man book where they photograph 1960s comics, clean up the images, and you get like the most accurate representation of the color. So I'm that kind of comic book art nerd, and I recommend the issue with the lizard because it has a panel, my favorite panel in comic book history, where the lizard is writing a letter to his son with one singular tear, and the lizard is like sitting over a table, and it's the funniest thing ever. That or the time Aunt May has to sell cigarettes to pay for the house. Those are my 2 favorite moments.
Did she sell them to children?
All I know is it's a picture of Spider-Man in jail, and Aunt May is carrying like a cigarette thing on her chest, being like, "Oh, honey, it's okay. I'll just die." So,
Very nice. You got anything special people need to know about? You said you have a new video popping up today?
yeah, the Ollie's video I dropped at the beginning of this show. So, folks, if you want to check out the unsellable pile of Disney merchandise that hasn't moved, check that out. But be on the lookout for more of my books. Wokebusters, I fulfilled the Indiegogo and the Kickstarter, and now we're off to building the website and get Stealing Solo 2 made. So I will have that done by the end of this year, and I'm excited to do more books.
Are we going to see you in Dallas?
When is it again?
The
End of
very
May,
last
beginning of
weekend of
June.
May. First days of June.
I could possibly fly down to hang out. So let me look at my schedule, because... Oh, wait, no, I can't. I'm going to Oregon in the beginning of June to do a Goonies 40th anniversary. We got invited to go out to the house and all that stuff.
Who the fuck is we?
Oh, the channel.
World Class Bullshitters channel got invited to the Goonies 40th anniversary?
Where the fuck's my invite?
Well, no, seriously, I'm a YouTube superstar, Doc. You're just a hanger on. How come I will drop these guys in a second? Jeff?
Well, if you can broadcast on Thursday, look, if you join me on Tuesday nights, you'll be grandfathered in as a channel member, and then we'll invite you to stuff. I mean, it'll be expensive to get you here, but it is a business expense, so we can make it happen.
By the way, I am free this Tuesday if you need another guest.
I was actually going to say to you, do you want to come on Tuesday and talk?
Yeah.
I'll see you. I'll drop you the link. There's your
just
announcement, folks.
Goonies with my 2 oldest. They loved it.
It's a great movie. Oh,
It is
my
so
God.
good.
Yeah.
Sparrow hasn't even seen it. That's how pathetic he is. But
I'll
Well,
tell you
Aaron,
what, I'll tell you what.
You're not
I
invited
will
on
watch
Tuesday
it.
anymore.
I will watch it this weekend.
Please do. I really want to ask, because Andrew on the show, I love him to death, but he hasn't seen a ton of movies, and I mean like normal movies. Because
Well, he's 12 years. He's 12 years old. He's younger than us, and you're a young man.
Andrew's older than I am.
I know.
But yeah, join me on Tuesday, man. I'd love to have you. And I just want to say,
We
it's
have
been
one
a lot of
those
fun
too.
on here.
We have one of
What'd
those
you
too,
say?
Jeff, but ours is named Max.
very nice. We've also got John from John's Longbox YouTube channel. You've also got a project up on GoFundMe. You got any books you want to recommend?
My project is on Fund My
Fund My
Comic.
Comic.
On my comic. I'm sorry.
It's called Heroic Tales 2. It's a love letter to Bronze Age superheroics. It's got the same artist and colorist as Kneel Before Doomface, so you know it's just absolutely the best. Renzo and Oscar Carreno. It is so good. I put out a couple of one of the stories is totally complete. So the Mary Sue story, I circulated that among friends. They said it's just so good. So proud of it. It's 2 complete stories. It's only $10. Every issue is going to be self-contained, but like old comics, they'll build upon the next one. So I don't want you to have to wait 9 months or a year, or in some cases never, for the continuation of a story. I believe each issue should be as inexpensive as possible and a full, satisfying read. That's what I'm going for. And it's a positive masculinity. We got a superhero called the Patriarch, who is a loving husband, a devoted father, beloved superhero, and he homeschools his kids. They homestead. He's off the grid, and then he goes into Science City and fights crazy villains. I say it's Dungeons and Dragons meets superheroes with Lovecraft. It's a lot of fun. I give it a chance. I think you'll like it.
Link in the video description on that one.
Thank you.
I keep spamming it in the chat too.
All right, yeah, thank you so much. And if I can recommend a comic, Rome Eternal by Magma Press. If Jack Kirby meets Mobius and superheroes in the Roman Empire.
Ooh,
guys,
very nice.
You
Speaking
want
my
that.
language.
Yeah.
Next up, we got Gervais Dargan from Animated Concepts. You recommended any books this week? It's got to be G.I. Joe, right?
Yeah, I got a ton. So I got Flash Gordon Quarterly number 3, Gotcha Man Jew Scavengers number 1. A lot of times the spin-off books are better than the main title. G.I. Joe 6 was great. Justice League Unlimited 6. Turtles Gray Skull number 4. Solomon Kane, The Serpent Ring number 2. Superman 25, really enjoyed that one. Uncanny X-Men Facsimile 134. Universal Monsters Mummy 2. Might not be everybody's cup of tea, but I like monsters and it was good. And even though it was a little on the pricey end, so I broke my rule for this one, but I like Marcus Toe, X-Force number 10. So, and that's where your 20% sell-through is coming from. Thank you very much.
And X-Men or X-Force number 10, The End of the Road. That book is officially done.
Yep, that's it. I'll pay for that.
But it did look fantastic.
There you go.
You got anything else people need to know about Trevane?
Yeah, just catch me every Wednesday night on the Mad Men with the Box live stream where we talk all things Doctor Who. It's about 10:30 Central. That's when we hit. But been every week for about over a year now, and it's always turns out to be a really fun conversation. Go there so you don't have to deal with a train wreck of a live stream like this.
Absolutely. I don't know what the hell even happened here. It's probably Sparrow's fault.
Kobe.
I like our
Blame
train.
me.
No, everything
Bro,
was off because it's like I was late, Doc was late.
I got kids.
Gervais was late. Doc slept in. Freaking Jeff's camera broke.
But John got more time to shine, so that's good. He's our guest.
Wow, my update was the least inconvenient thing. I turned on my computer at 900 updates on it.
Yeah, no, that happens to me on occasion.
I thought I was going to be the problem. Turns out I'm the golden child here. Thank you.
All right, Sparrow, what you recommending?
I'm going to recommend G.I. Joe number 6, which was absolutely spectacular. Like I said, the best compliment that I can give that book is that as I'm reading it, I find myself doing the cartoon voices. Mm-hmm. So that's how spot on it feels to the actual characters, even though it's an entirely different universe. And of course, I'm going to recommend Green Lantern because Jeremy Adams is killing it and he's doing really fun stuff on there. So I say check it out. Like, listen, if you go into a comic shop and you see something like Flash Gordon and you're like, I don't really know Flash Gordon, but it's got Jeremy Adams' name on it, pick it up.
Yes.
And the Green Lantern book this week has like 6 enormous weird cameos in it.
Yes, it does. And I will be on World Class Bullshitters this Tuesday, along with our good friend Jeff. And
he's finally going to watch fucking.
And I'm finally going to watch Goonies. I'm finally going to do it.
I just saw Goonies a year ago. You're in good company. Don't worry about it. It is a great movie. You're going to enjoy it.
It's on Docbuster Video too.
I got to say, Anne Ramsey is so hot. You're going to love it. Anne Ramsey is so hot.
Anne Ramsey or Bella Ramsey? Who will age better? I'm gonna go Anne Ramsey.
All right, Doc. You recommend any books?
I am going to, you know what? I'm going to start off with something that I have not done in a very long time and actually recommend a new comic book.
Okay.
G.I. Joe 6. This book is dope.
That's not the A cover. Did you pay for a variant, Doc?
No,
because you're part of the problem.
This was cover price. Mm-hmm. I just grabbed the one. There was like 3 that were all cover price. I just grabbed the one I like the best.
Oh, I want that one. I missed that one.
Yeah. And then
Yep.
this came out like 2 weeks ago, but I don't really give a shit. It's still really good. And, well, Tom Brevoort's a douche by canceling this book before issue 2 even came out. Fucking retard. Walking Bucky's logo. But so, yeah, check this book out. Honestly, keep buying it regardless of whether or not it's canceled. Maybe it'll force them to actually, I don't know, do something. Then we will go with one of the last great X-Men stories, Messiah Complex. It's from a number of years ago. This is like almost 20 years ago now. Maybe 2007?
Well,
Something
my
like that.
recommendation's not that old anymore.
But actually, I'm going to recommend, this is X-Men 205. This is the J. Scott Campbell variant. Good luck finding it for under $100 anymore. But the A cover is still really good. I think it was God, I don't remember who the A cover was, but regardless. But no, the Messiah Complex story was one of the last great X-overs. And it very much was in the vein of like the old great X-overs like Fall of the Mutants, Extinction Agenda, Executioner Song, and some of the other ones. So go check this out. Even if you could buy the trade or the omnibus pretty cheap. Then finally, we will go with ASM 86.
Yeah.
This is the first appearance of Black Widow's skin tight costume. Why that matters, who the fuck knows?
We know.
But I mean, you get sexy Black Widow as opposed to just killer Black Widow.
And it's drawn by John Romita. So
Yeah.
It's a winner.
It really is. So, I recommend going picking this up if you can find a copy. Mine's okay condition. It's about like a 4 or 5. But yeah, go check it out. So those are my recommendations this week. I also
very nice.
I did pick up ASM number 2, but I haven't read it. Because
I gotta go get it.
I didn't hate the first issue. I thought it was a very kind of mediocre, kind of middling first
If you
issue.
like that enough to pick up the second issue, you're going to be happy.
It's not that. I've read enough ASM to know that they don't need to like blow. I don't need some whole giant new concept and some bold new direction for Spider-Man on a number 1 issue. I need them to not fuck up Spider-Man.
Wow.
And they didn't fuck up Spider-Man on the first.
I don't know why you're yelling at me.
All I needed to not. There was no Paul.
I'm just saying, if you like mediocre Spider-Man, you're going to love that issue.
Issue 2.
Should they just retitle it that? Mediocre Spider-Man?
A mediocre
it's honest.
Spider-Man. It's just him like sitting in his underwear reading the newspaper.
No, it's just Zeb Wells' run.
It's MSM now instead of ASM.
Say thank you very much to everybody for joining us as
Thank
we
you for having
screwed
me.
around here and talk about comic books. And a huge shout out and thank you to Drew and TCM Press for sponsoring today's live stream. Really appreciate that. I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend watching the NFL draft or something. I think that's what's happening.